Welcome, welcome, one and all. Thank you for joining us on such a fine evening. This is MagusintheMedia, and tonight we are going to be getting into all of those beautiful things that we just love, oh so love to talk about. And obviously, those things are very synonymous with themselves, and it is the occult, and it is magic, and it is the paradigm shifting of different things that continually to pop up and sift away. Should they go away? Should they stick around? And what does it even mean in this age of chaos when the world is boiling at its seams for a magical transformation, and how we do so seems to trend us towards this living in of this age. And no better person to help us break down what is going on in this new age that we live in is my man, my brother, Jin Wukong Reborn, the Ninja. Thank you, Jin, for joining me today. How are you?
I'm really fucking well. How are you, Brandon? Thank you
great.
For inviting me on.
You're so welcome. Welcome back. And this is Battlecry. I feel like the Battlecry is tinging a little louder than even before when we did our last show. How do you feel?
I feel hot, ready to go, ready to rock and fucking roll.
Nice. That's beautiful. Hello, and thank you everyone out there listening. We so appreciate everyone being here. Jin, so the real question is, in this strange days where we have so many different people that are taking on so many different tirades and shenanigans, and what I mean is this occulted community that we seem to have found ourselves in, and it's hard not to watch the phases and trends move by, and it's not only now, but it's happening in larger schemes of the strange world and history that we seem to live in. Isn't it, like, give me your take on such a fantastic day and age that we live in when we can rise and fall in such an Aeon. What does this mean to you?
As I've said many times, both on this show, on my show, on the Grey Lodge, on Rejects, on the countless other 10 million shows I've been on, I'm kind of an internet micro celeb.
Yeah. So, yeah. Micro e-boy.
Right. I'm a esoteric e-boy. Yeah. That's right. I really am, because I coined that fucking word too. Yeah. Anyways, I think that the Aeon is telling us that as I posited in the Aeon of the Daughter workings, I said, it's pointless to do we was kings. Let's just move forward. Let's look at magic in like this non-dual bodhicitta middle path, and sort of like a syncretic framework.
Yeah.
Let's not be scared of syncretism, and let's not also be like high IQ syncretism, obviously, not low IQ syncretism, obviously. But also, like, we need to be flexible, and we also have to understand, like, the institution, those things are decayed. So we have to move forward. And what does that mean? Well, I can't tell anyone else what to do, nor would I ever, nor do I ever. But I can tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to continue to do Vajrayana. I'm going to continue to study Kabbalah. I'm going to continue to study, I know you don't like this, but chaos magic. And I'm going to, I'm going to be the best fucking sorcerer on the carnal ground, the best Dukun, the most powerful that I can fucking be, which is going to be like, at least in the top 10.
At least in the top 10.
Right. Obviously. So there you go.
Yeah. I mean, I agree.
I'm going to be the, I'm going to rep. I say on Twitter, I say Scion of Nuria. Well, I fucking am. So that is what it is.
Nice. And can you give me a good breakdown of Scion of Nuria?
Okay, so the Scion of Nuria started out as a little bit of a chaos magic LARP / joke, but it also coincided with us doing the Aeon of the Daughter on the Grey Lodge.
Yeah, but so very similar to Discordianism and how that was kind of a trope in its day and age that became a real movement, technically.
Correct. Okay. Well, I've always said that I have a Discordian inclination.
I do it as well, and that's where we meet, even though I dislike certain things. Yes. Okay.
Right. Yeah. So basically, and there was a chaos magic podcast called The Grey Lodge in the early 2000s. So I didn't really know about that. I really didn't. Somebody sent me the article, and it was like an old Yahoo kind of like listserv kind of thing.
Yeah.
Anyways, talking about it. And okay, so the Scion of Nuria. So I posit the Aeon of the Daughter is a psychic Aeon rather than a magical Aeon.
Yeah.
And so a Scion with a Psion is sort of a play on the like God, like the Scion Scion. So it's a play on that from the sign, like the Mary
I
Magdalene,
like that.
like
I
the
like
secret
that. I like
child
that. Yeah.
of Jesus and
Very
Mary
Jean
Magdalene.
Grey of you, right? Very
Correct,
Jean Grey. Yeah.
correct. But because French Canadians do believe this. Like they do actually believe that like there is like a I guess matrilineal descent from Mary Magdalene.
Oh, I like that. Very Da
So
Vinci
it's like
Code.
a kind of a cultural mythos, we'll say.
Yeah. And why wouldn't you want that? You know what I mean?
Correct.
You know,
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
So then basically the Scion is like someone, and I've posited that there are many. I never said I was the only one. I just said I was the best one. But no, there were clearly other people. I actually spoke with Kaiva when her episode drops on my feed.
Yep.
We actually to discuss this. It's not necessarily that we were so woo as this, because obviously I contain it a little.
Yeah.
You and I are more free range like that. But so we talked about the Aeonic colors, how they are actually like, it's not just me making it up. Like, yes, I noticed it and it felt at that moment that I was the only one who could see them, but I'm not the only one who can see them. And I'm not the only one who knows what they are and what colors they are. So this was something that was happening to me regularly. I was seeing like these specifically the Aeonic colors. So I noticed also that there were other people that were kind of weaving in those themes. So basically, the Nuria is this character that comes from the Gnostic Gospels. She has her own gospel. It's called the Epinoia of Nuria, but she's also found in the Hypothesis of the Archons, as well as one of the Gospels of Seth. Okay. She's also found as she's referenced several times in other things, but the most important is her arc in the Hypothesis, as well as her own gospel, the Epinoia of Nuria, the thought of Nuria. Because she also represents the thought of the Father. So the thought,
Adam and Eve's daughter.
It can be.
That's what. That's one that says Adam and Eve's daughter is one of them, which is fascinating.
It can be that. It can also be interpreted as a daughter of Noah,
sister of Seth.
Correct. She can also be interpreted as the Aisheth Zenunim, the princess of the Klippas. But I always make a word pun. I'm very chaos magic.
I like that. I like that.
I say the princess of breaking Klippas, because that's to me how I understand the Aeon. It's not limited by the preconceptions, and that's even what her gospel is saying. She is not limited by the preconceptions of others. The angel appears to her and says, look, all these things before you, everything the archons say, it's bullshit. It's just in your mind. They are the lords of delusion. They want to keep you in the longhouse, in the bathhouse, and the fucking, the dungeon. They want to keep you in the tunnels. And the truth is like there is a way out. There is a truth. And so she takes the sort of Promethean flame, if you want to call it that. She lights an arrow on fire.
She blew up the fucking Noah's Ark is what I've just read.
Yeah, twice.
Ballad.
She blew it up twice. So the reality is like, she's a bit of a baddie. She's a bit of a rebel. She kind of does her own thing. And so that's what it's saying to do. It's saying to break up the Klippas in your own fucking mind. In my opinion.
I love that. No, I love that because that kind of makes sense with kind of why the topic makes so much sense, not only for, our choosings, but what's going on in the world is that what we're trying to continue to bring to ourselves and the people on this Visca Pisces diagram that you and I have our own separate individual belief structures and thoughts. And then there are a lot of it supersedes some of the things we like to battle. A lot of it is very integrated into why we have these conversations get along so well is because culture and especially the occult community is seeming to separate itself into all these smaller ideologies. And these ideologies tend to be like fads and they phase in and out. And then but the problem is people don't understand that there's an underlying philosophy, that there's an underlying like complete like force that moves these trends through. And there's something else that is going on. And that something else is what I think you're talking about with the Aeon Sophia, not going back to the longhouse or the bathhouse, meaning not going back to the Abrahamic father traditions, not going back to the mother matrilineal traditions, and the idea is to actually be in the world with this kind of, and I like the term, and you may not think this is the exact term, but the pandemonic of like cosmic gnosis that David Beth talks about. because he's bringing, I think there's an embodied experience. It's bringing the embodied experience to reality, which I think is another aphorism for Sophia, and this daughter kind of figure waking up at the bottom of Malkuth to bring the tree to her instead of climbing the tree. So this is kind of some imagery that I see, that people then want to attach identifiers to themselves of all these other things that are old tradition. Not that we're getting rid of them, we're actually going back and seeing them and then doing and progressing forward from these things. What do you think about that?
I mean, I'm an axialist, so this, of course, fits perfectly with how I sort of understand. I'm not saying that we're referring to exactly the same thing. I would call it the hyperspace kingdom.
I see,
but it's very similar. And is it like a like a Pope Pete panpsychic universe? Like there is a little bit of that for sure. Like I think he's also touching on some of the same things. I'm just trying to give credit where it's due.
True.
R.I.P. the king.
Yeah.
So. Or the Pope, at least. So
one of the popes, because I disagree with panpsychism, but we don't have to go there right now.
I do too. But there is a thing that is it's corollary or parallel to the hyperspace kingdom,
right?
That Tracy Twyman talked about, which is where this is sort of how I came to higher understanding myself.
Yes,
so I'm just trying to.
I've played around with the machinations of the DMT elves and hyperspace kingdom. I understand.
Right. Okay. Well, I've never done DMT personally, but but. The reality is like, look, she's moving. If you want to say it's the world card, you can say it's the world card. If you want to say it's Samek or not Samek, excuse me, temperance, you can say it's temperance. It's both of those. It's both of those cards. It's how we move through the Aeon, which is on the middle path, in my opinion. And so we are actually going to Dath and not going to, it's not about Keter. It's about higher knowledge. But it's coming back down and how to reconcile that. That's where you use Keter. That's where you use the higher ideals of Keter, like love. And so one of the names for Nuria is actually, one of the Kabbalistic ideas that we discussed for Aeon of the Daughter is this name called Lamed Mem Dalet, which can also fit onto path 22, which is the path from Gevra to Tiferet. But it can also be a path from Gevra to Hesed. And it can also be a path understood to be from Gevra to Hesed. Or did I say that? Anyways, it doesn't matter. The point is like, it's an interesting and complicated path working, but it also is about how the Aeons arise for us. So in the way I've posited it, they arise on the paths because they arise in our own minds. It's not some sky fairy, but of course they are supernal in a way.
Yeah.
So we're supposed to go to Dath. Where is Dath? Well, as you know, Brandon, I removed Dath from the tree because I think it's something that we forge in synthesis past Tiferet. I think we draw of Binah and we draw of Hokmah, and that is the creation of Dath.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah,
in the deadness of space, we create something. The adamantine man, the Adam Kadmon, the Seth figure.
That's interesting. That's interesting to say that because of Adam Kadmon is the fulfillment of the tree, the first tree. And so it's an interesting thing to think that then Adam Kadmon can then. I agree. Yeah, that's nice. Even if I don't agree with the complete details, there's something that can be created by the ultimate man God.
Correct. Right? But when we go to Dath, we have to create something. We have to make something when we're there. Otherwise, it is just dead space. Then what do we do when we come back to Malkuth? Well, we have to climb the tree again because we have to try and get back to that place of primordial ground or primordial knowledge or whatever it is. Because that is our higher connection to our higher selves. If you want to call it the daemon, if you want to call it the HGA, whatever, I don't care. I'm just saying it from my more tantric Buddhist perspective.
Yeah, there's something that I think is really important for me to continue to add into, because what I'm trying to do is get away from such. It's like, how do you let that be seen in your life? You know what I mean? Absolve the abstraction into the concrete, where then we are living those things that you're doing within the magical temple, within the mind, all the mind space. And then within the world, we're trying to find simplicity and ease through virtue. And I think there's a way
not necessarily through virtue for me.
Through
naturalness.
Yes.
Naturalness,
right, thank you.
Spontaneity, and also trying to follow the way as it unfolds, like when the marga unfolds before you, you try and go on those things. Now, I understand that that is not necessarily the most concrete path working for most people.
Right.
They do not like that sort of like anticipatory unfolding, but I think it's important and I think it's very aeonic. But I
Yeah.
agree with like partially what you're saying is like there has to be a pragmatic element. Like
Yeah.
if I'm saying the aeons unfold or they arise in our minds, which but we arise on the paths as well, because that's the truth, is that the paths really are the components of Adam Kadmon.
Yeah.
So we have to embody what I posit there are 3 aeons per cycle, right? There are 5 cycles. We're in an interstitial cycle right now. That is what the Aeon of the Daughter is. It's the 5th turning of the wheel. The wheel has to turn in our perception. If we know about the wheel turning, then it actually can turn. If we
Yeah,
don't
I
know
agree.
about
And that's
it,
almost like making enough people aware of the turning of the wheel. So it's like it's a paradigm. And it goes back to how paradigm shift we do
correct.
things.
Paradigm shift.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
very smart, Brandon, so I obviously gave you that subject so I could talk about this exact thing.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, you're smart enough to know that I know what the fuck you're talking about. There you go. That's nice. No, that's hilarious. It's true. And I think that's important. And I think that's something that I'm continually thinking about as well, is because of we live in such strange times. And I think it's always been strange times. It's just for me, going back to kind of what we were talking about before this whole thing, was why Robert Anton Wilson was one of my favorite people in my younger years, because of all his books were kind of talking about how he had, what is it called, the jumping Jesus phenomena, as we move through an age and information and communication seems to speed up. Information speeding up makes our consciousness and technology and our whole like history speed up a little bit faster until it reaches some kind of paradigmatic shift of consciousness, as we see in different eras. And so you can have many different models to see the shifting of history, right? And consciousness itself, it's almost like the changing of aeons is the changing of of consciousness itself, as now we're in body. Like what is like, it's crazy to think what we look like as this human body with our consciousness that shifts through these magical aeons, like kind of morphs, you know?
I mean, I don't really think about it like that,
That's-
Brandon. As
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, I'm much more of a primordialist. Like I like to just be. I think that's where I'm at with everything.
I like that. I like that.
magic and like dharma and just everything. I just, whether I'm in a magical battle or whatever.
Well,
Or just like
yeah.
living rent free in people's fucking heads. Maybe that's what it is. But for me, I like to sit on that sort of carnal ground of ultimate
I think you have
reality.
to. I think you have to, because of it seeming like even though you sit, you find yourself embattled in magical battles. How do you do that?
Well, rule number 1, don't fuck with a wizard.
Yeah,
But
obviously.
rule number 2 is that you don't even worry about those things. You focus, like for me, I focus on the deity. I focus on like what I'm doing and like how I'm going to get to where I want to go. And it has nothing to do with anyone else or sort of their, whatever their perceptions are. It's about my perceptions and my misperceptions and me liberating the skandhas and me clarifying the klipas and me conquering and like prevailing victorious over the maras. And whether those maras, arise as people on the carnal ground, as they often do, embodied characters, they all have to get flayed and slayed in the end.
They all walk through Gabura to be fucking gone through the pits. No, I completely agree. What I like about it is the thing that we're saying that's very similar is the simpleness of life, and I think that's what's so important about being incarnated into a body, is that we have to find our place within the way, as you speak of it, as just going with the flow, and at the same time using your will. And so there's a fascination of, it's like each individual has their way to practice a certain way that to experience all variations of reality, all the way up into the hyperstitial space kingdom. Was that what you called it? And
Hyperspace kingdom.
Hyperspace kingdom, which is really important, because these are when we're in, I like breaking it down in a way that it's an embodied myth. Obviously, that's why I like these things, because mythologies and archetypes, these forces that move through us, and I think the aeonic forces you're talking about are meaningless unless they are felt through the human experience.
Correct.
And
but they also give us tools. So there's a metaphysics to this, right?
yes,
Obviously,
yes, yeah,
we're going to use Kabbalah to describe
yeah,
like where they are, how they arise, who
yes,
they are,
yes,
or when what conceptual ideas they represent, or
yep,
meta conceptual ideas, right? Like their positionality in the world system. We have to also say like they are real beyond us, but they arise primarily in our perception. So I always say that there are three Aeons. It's Nuria, the daughter. She represents love, but it's love without desire, love with the heatless flame. Then you have Seth, who's the wayward son, who sort of diverges from the normative path, and then he arises in his own way as an antihero, as a liberator of mankind. And then you have Zoe, who is a child. So this is obviously where Crowley was drawing from, because
yeah.
he did consider himself like the kind of Gnostic king, the Gnostic pope, as he
Yeah.
would say. And so Zoe is a child, but she in like even in the Gnostic gospel, she's described as a girl. And in Tantra, we have a goddess called Maritzi. It's very, very, anyways, we won't get into it, but it's very similar. And so she's invisible, ungraspable, and also invincible. So the idea is that she's actually the luminous spark of light that happens between the son and the daughter. Now, this isn't necessarily Seth and Nuria together. Obviously, that would be weird because in some of the heterodox Jewish texts, they're actually siblings. But it's about the archetypes, as you're saying.
Yeah.
So if someone embodied the daughter archetype and someone embodies the Seth archetype, then actually that would make sense in an Aeonic way. Doesn't have to be like people don't have to take it sicko, as I always say.
No, of course not. Of course not. And what's fascinating is then I think personally, because of it's interesting to see how this works in a first person experiences as then how we embody these aeons, which, I think you almost, it's like through what do they say? Through the an embodied enactment of experience. That's how you take on these higher. It's almost okay. So I'm going to invert this. Let
me just say this quick.
Please.
So Nuria, love. Zoe is life force, like vitality. Like if you want to say Nietzschean vitality, like I'm not really big into Nietzsche, but whatever. That is kind of the idea. It's like the invisible life force that keeps us going. It's like luminous, inner luminosity, you could say, to build our life force, to build our capacity. And then Seth is will. So it's love, will, and life. Those three things are composed. Like if you want to just say the Aeons are those conceptual ideas, of course you can say that too. You don't have to think of them as like these Gnostic liberator figures, but of course they can be. And they can be distilled just simply down to the Promethean. The idea of like, I know you don't love JRJ, but I do. I think he's cool, like in a way, like speculatively, I think he's interesting.
I'm coming around. Coming around. There's things I disagree with.
Right? Like you like Tucker.
Of course.
Right.
Yes,
so then we discussed this when we were on the live on Divulgence. It's the same thing, right? Like you understand that you treat a lot of what Tucker says speculatively.
Yeah.
And so you have to also embrace that JRJ is a speculative philosopher.
Completely. Yeah.
So there are things he's going to say that you're going to disagree with, and there are things he's going to say that ring more closer to truth. So that's where you lean in.
Oh yeah.
So anyways, I just wanted to say those are the three Aeonic ideals. So I think it's important. I think that the sort of like the sex of each of the Aeons is important, like how they're understood.
This is also because that's the force that moves through things. So yeah, completely.
And the force is obviously in Tantra is the Shakti.
Yeah.
It's like the breath. It's the Ruach, the Shekinah, the Prana, right? That's what it is. Yeah. It's the breath that moves through the world.
Yeah.
So that's why it doesn't have to be like an Aeon of degeneracy, but it doesn't have to be an Aeon of, as you said, like the Longhouse, where we're sitting around judging everyone for their like life choices.
Completely.
Right? Because like we can only focus on ourselves. Like that's our greatest Malkuth. That's where our locus of control begins and ends at Malkuth.
Oh yeah.
And yes, you can learn to extend that beyond and like into your county or your, state or whatever it is, or like anything.
Yeah.
But like, what is the greater implication? Like for me, I'm not going to say what everyone else should be concerned with, but I also am preoccupied with karma. It's not just about the resolution of my own karmas. It's about like how to move through the Aeon without like extremely implicating myself in any kind of bullshit.
Yeah, I know.
But like, you
Yeah.
know what? Maybe because I was a troublemaker my whole life, maybe now trouble comes to find me. Maybe that is what it is, and
It's a
maybe
nice
that is my
realization.
karma too.
Yeah, no, I completely understand that. And fascinating enough, I think we all deal with those types of things. And then it made me think of, so this is something we're going to talk about on when I come on Threshold Saints, on your talking about Philip K. Dick, right? And so in his in the trilogy, the first one is Valis, second one is Divine Invasion, the third one is Transmigration of Timothy Archer. It doesn't matter. I haven't read the third one. The first two are what matters. And in Divine Invasion, these Aeons, right? One of the Aeons is the Christos. Another of the Aeons is Sophia. They incarnate in this book. And the Christos forgets, but he incarnates into this being called Yah. But then this is taking on place on many different timelines of this thing happening. So you're always trying to figure out what's going on. But then Sophia incarnates into this other person that comes around and to help the Christos remember to awaken. And for a long time, he thinks that Sophia is actually maybe the person that is holding him hostage until he realizes you need a great awakening to like push you into that, because only you can awaken yourself. So I'm excited to talk about that with you in full, because it shows how we all embody these certain forces of nature. When we choose to then truly tap into them is when we can go through like the great work process, is kind of what I'm saying, is like that.
Totally, but save this, Brandon, because I can't even respond to the K-ball. Like the whole, like, you said some really interesting things that immediately caught my attention, and I'm like, oh, well, I want to talk about that, but then I realized, like, fuck, we're on a live.
Yeah, I know. That's so good. That's good. No, it's true. So this is fascinating enough. I really like this idea of something we're talking about is different than what I think is going on in the occult community of today. You know what I mean? It's like what you and I and other people are hitting on. We're not special. I think something we're hitting on is understanding the movements and transitions as and forces of these cosmic universal things that are going on, but it's going on within us, because it doesn't matter if we're not here. And yet, and I think
we are the witnesses to perception. We are the sons and daughters. Like, you want to say Aeon of the daughter, Aeon of the sons and daughters. We are the sons and daughters.
Yeah.
We are the ones who are, all the boomer hatred. Like, I get it. I try and be really positive and like be not like that. And especially when I go on lives or on other people's shows, I try and always say, like, we shouldn't be too hard on them. But like secretly in my heart, I feel like very like a lot of despair about that situation, like the sort of generational malaise. I'm being honest. Like, I'm just saying like how I feel about it. And so, but I do think that there is a positive in that, a positive polarity, is that we realize like we are going to have to take over the ship.
That nice. No, I completely agree. And it's interesting.
So how do we want to do that? And like which ways do we go about that? And what kinds of systems are we going to sort of have to build, or like not build? And like what, and we have to have some kind of logic and coherent. It doesn't have to, obviously don't be dogmatic. And maybe that is something cool about this, is like we can, like in the Grey Lodge, just like we have people with very different politics, but we all kind of converge on certain kinds of racism, as well as as well as like metaphysics.
Yeah.
So there is like, you can speak a call. I know you can speak. I can't believe I said that either. But you kind of converge, and you sort of treat each other as people. And
we're half breeds, bro. We're fine. I don't care what anybody
says. That's the Hesed of Hesed, right? Like, it's like you treat people that you are perceiving, you treat them with Hesed. That's the whole point.
Yeah, that's the whole point. I think it's brilliant. And I continue on, and just I'm making a dialect or a dichotomy between I think there are a lot. So we're talking the psionic. I really like this idea because I do think a lot of the occultists, magicians, magi, and people of the past obviously have tapped into, I think, this very same thing because they're understanding, I think, the archaeology of the thing, understanding how these stars move, perceiving and they're the watchers, right? They're watching time move on through, and its consciousness seems to be steering us towards this kind of level of human. It's actually becoming human, I think, is being able to tap into the mental faculties. And it's not just the mental, it's like this brain thing. It's finally, and I don't like I'm trying to stay away from like transcending because I like being human. And I think that's the key to this whole thing.
This is what I like about you, Brendan, is that you kind of went away from that transcendent language that I know you were using a little, not like crazy, but you were definitely more into the idea. This is a really important, I think, metaphysical. I think it's more of the truth. That is that I think that looking for the transcendental experience, the transcendental sort of the way out, I think that is sort of I think that's the klipa. I think that's the trap.
I agree.
I think the trap is to believe that it's like one timeline, one trajectory, one like even system that is just like, no, that's why I like chaos magic. And I'm going to get you to come around to this idea because I'm not talking about it as in like we're in the womb of Eros. Like, yeah, you can absolutely say that. You can even say that in a tantric way.
Yeah.
That we're trapped in the womb and really the tunnels of Set are her intestines. Like, I've heard this many times. It's like not that new to me. It's not even that original. Kenneth Brown was writing about this, Solar. So, that's the reality. It's like, but the other reality is in Tantra, she represents space. But it's when she's at the higher consciousness and she becomes the red lady, like the Scarlet Woman kind of, but she doesn't ride a lion. She doesn't, her Vahana is a corpse. So whose corpse does she climb? Well, she climbs our corpse because she arises in our minds. So she arises in the Yesod, in the Nine. This is where people often get wrong. They say, oh, we want to go to Binah, we want to go to Saturn. That's going to like lead us out, but that only leads you back to Samsara. But even if you go to the spirit world, even if you go to Hokmah, that smoky kingdom at the, outside of time, you're still trapped. You're still in the cycle. So how do you get to Keter? That's the real paradox.
Yeah.
But once you realize that Keter is actually at Malkuth, it's the one and the one together, then it actually makes more sense that you stay on the middle path and you go to Dath, because Dath is the way out. It's the higher knowledge that we have to build the world as we want it. The world is the burning girl. That's it. And what does that mean? That doesn't mean a sicko thing, like it's not anything to do with, I know your audience doesn't really fucking care about that, but
no.
For any straggling like
yeah, right. There's so many newbies out there. Yeah.
Whatever. No, but it's about Dath. It's about going to higher gnosis, Lamed Mem Dulit. Like love is a cause of knowledge. So, and that there's also a goddess in Tantra whose name is exactly that. Her name is Rigjama, but I mean, that's what it means in Tibetan. So there is a kind of common concept through different systems that like I was like, you could say patterning. And so that's to me what it's about too. It's like, it's so clear that like we have to build whatever is going to be in the future.
Yeah, no,
that's why we can't be nihilistic. That's why we can't totally give up, even on the institutions that exist. Like I'm anti-institutional. I would like I've said this so many times on the show. I'm like on every show, but the reality is like it's not about saving the institution, and I actually think that we shouldn't. But I don't think we should save any of them. To be honest, I'm very much about like breaking the klipas, but maybe I'm like too much. Maybe I'm too extreme.
Well, I think I like that. No, I think maybe it's
I'm not saying destroy them.
No,
I'm
that's
saying just letting them burn.
And I completely agree. And the way I agree in it is that if we understand it through the cyclical nature of mythology, through the idea of Persephone going into the underworld and how we see our seasons, when I read something called Radical Democracy in college for one of my literature classes, and it was a political literature class, interesting enough, but fascinating is this idea, and it's such a small part of the book, but I latched onto it, and it was that the institution, this idea of of holding on to things. It is just like that of trying to us going in from summer to fall to winter, is that institutions are built to protect us from like bad weather, through the winterization, through the death and denial of all things, through Demeter pining after her daughter that was stolen away from her into the underworld. And what happens is, as we move through winter into spring again and the renewal of all things, the institution wants to hold on for dear life because it forgets that it's not meant to stay forever, like a tyrant king figure, that the empire that Philip K. Dick is talking about that never ends. It is a state of mind, but also an embodiment of the cyclical nature of the things that I think we're talking about, with the institutions holding on for too long and not understanding how to morph into the new thing, which is going to have to disrupt the system for a little while. But the thing is it's already some other systems already being built to keep this tyrant king in charge. And so instead of seeing, like to know that it burns away, to know that it burns away and then is renewed, is that whole faction of the magical term INRI, as all of nature must be renewed by fire. And that's
absolutely that. This is an Aeon of fire and flowers, as I've always said. That's what I always said. Fire and flowers, the Aeon of the fifth Aeon, right? So the 5-petaled flower, whether you want to say that's a rose or you want to say that's an Upala flower, but it's what color is the flower? The flower is Hesed blue, turquoise. Right? It's about the flame of Hesed in perception, like the reflection of Hesed in perception, love and kindness. So that is, even though it is an age of restriction in one way of thinking, but Gevurah and Hesed have to be in dialectical relationship. They really arise at Tiferet, both of those Sephirah.
Yeah, well, of course, right?
And that makes sense for the middle pillar, right? It's not about extremes. Yeah, but I agree that it is the Aeon of fire and flowers, and I am like, let the institutions burn.
Well, it almost has to. William Blake, you must create your own system or be enslaved by another man's. I'm just like, I'm trying to, it's like the AI thing, right? AI is not going away. For me, it's not, the genie is already out of the bottle, Pandora is already out of her box. So it's all, and it is a reflection of this like Arisian thing, this chaos, because it's like, we think we're holding on to this Jin we've created. But the thing is that's why I think the magical perception is so important, to understand the placement of where we're at in this current day and age, which is why then it's not fluffy transcendental nonsense.
To use the opaque science or like materialist technological framework to describe the same processes. You can use Kabbalah, you can use Tantra, you can use metaphysical ideas, you can use chaos theory and apply it to the technological sort of like what is actually going on in reality, and you actually will describe something very interesting and actually real, closer to truth, because most people don't even understand what those technical meanings even mean. So what's the point in relaying them? I think it's more interesting to look at it through a metaphysical lens, since the phone is metaphysical, since the technologies are also metaphysical. They have a metaphysical implication. If you want to call the iPhone the Rahu, the physical material body of the dragon, of the king of the eclipse, the king of materiality, the demiurge, if you want to say that. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. His gemstone in Jyotisha is obsidian. So it makes a lot of sense. The black mirror, right? The black sun, the sun behind the sun. Okay. Then what is the software? The software is the K2. The software is the subtle body, the smoky tail of the dragon. Now, this dragon normally eats the sun, and Rahu likes to eat the moon. But they've actually switched in this Aeon. And this happened in 2020. There was a series of eclipses that flipped. And that is how they're thought of in Tantra. They're thought of very much like locks and keys, like magnets, like polarities. And so to understand that this will be an Aeon, and if you look at the Tantric iconography, the daughter dances above the corpse of Rahu. That's one way to understand that image. So you can say that through love in perception, that is also what conquers the black cube matrix. You can also say that will, the strength of Set, that kind of potency.
Yeah, because it resolves dualism when you're looking at that. Yes.
So he is the will. So that means that love and will, it's not will over love or love over will even though it is.
No, because that's
both.
It's
together.
both, and that's the problem of the language that we're stuck within. We're stuck within this linear time set. So to be able to adapt our consciousness through this aeon, it's almost like adapting a new kind of language. Even though we're kind of stuck in Aristotelian syllogisms, but
no, we want to fight against the Aristotelian dialectic.
And that's why
That was the
Discordium.
original-
Yes, that is. Yes,
You go by the Zoroastrian theory
Yeah.
of religion.
Yeah.
The Aristotelian dialectic was the first corruption of the tree.
Yeah. And
brought us into
people,
the
we need
priesthood.
we need people to understand what that means. What that means. So in Aristotle's syllogism, he has basically it's our logical subset of how we understand what truth is. But if you break down our language, he breaks things down by the law of non-contradiction, which means A cannot be A and B at the same time. A has to equal A, or A, it has something else. It can't be both. At the same time as we're always talking about something is something else, and that's our sentence structures. Something always is represented by something else, right?
Well, I'm going to break it down even further, but thank you, Brandon. That was really, high IQ, we'll say, high verbal.
Okay.
But, you can just break it down into this. When the Persians got a hold of this syllogism, they applied that to their Zoroastrian. It was just more ritual manuals, like how to worship, what days to worship, that kind of stuff. And so they applied this thinking to those ritual manuals, and they came away with the idea that perhaps God can't be time and space at the same time. So they divided him into those two things. And so then they realized, well, there's contradictions here. How do we resolve paradox? As I always say, a good Kabbalist loves to resolve paradox. I often do. A good tantric also loves to resolve paradox. We have an easier way to describe it. We say it's resolved in the consort, but we won't get into that. Anyways, the point is that they divided, at this time in Persia, Babylon, they divided God, the idea of God. It's not that they're dividing God, but in a way, because he arises in our perception. So they divided him into space and time, light and dark. Okay? So that means that on the 4-quadrant system, he has to take these 4 forms, arise in the world in these specific ways. God is supposed to be qualityless. The color of diamond thunder, the color of the clarity of water, right? That's what it is. It's the clarity of water or ice or the sky. The day sky and the night sky are the same sky. Just like water can appear turquoise as ice or as liquid, but when you cup it in your hands, you will see its true nature is clear. God is supposed to be clear. It's supposed to just be pristine. It's non-phenomenological. It arises in us. Is it who we are? I don't know. I don't think so. That's not my framework. I think it's just that it's part of our perception, the mind.
No, and I love that. And so I'm gonna now retranslate that into my that's beautiful. And so this idea of Aristotle's syllogism, and why I think Robert Anton Wilson in his Illuminatus trilogy, everything he was doing, he was working with general semantics, Alfred Korzinski, the creator of Science and Sanity, where it's not that we're trying to get rid of logic, but we're trying to understand how the frameworks of the mind get locked in certain linguistic traps, like smoky fog of language, and how we get trapped by saying something like all men are mortal, right? And so we have to first break down that these are relationships based upon what we think things are, and that locks us within nouns. That truth is a noun. That's not how things actually work. And because there's a lot of linguistic traps that come with this term mortal and men. The sky is blue. This is a lot of, we get into these traps. And so what something like general semantics is trying to teach us is that we use words, and these are abstractions. And so what we're trying to get down is the actual experience of things, and why Aristotle's syllogism is important for how we've gone through time in the longhouse and from the bathhouse, and we are now moving forward from these things. So we have to use certain techniques of consciousness change, magic, mysticism, the things that Jin's talking about, the things that we talk about all the time.
Paradigm shifting.
And because we're paradigm shifting.
Very chaos magic.
And that's why I agree with certain kinds of that thing. But my problem with chaos magic, and this is a side note, is that I just don't agree with panpsychism, because I'm a phenomenologist. And so I think the embodied action is really important, and I don't ever want to get stuck within a purely psychological framework where then I make consciousness another thing, which I think then wraps us back into the problem of Aristotle's syllogism, how words create worlds, right? Words create worlds.
The narratives are the hyperspace kingdom. I know I said that really weird.
That was perfect.
But I was trying to be.
I was pointing at the same.
That's why I was trying to do it. I was trying to do it to the beat. So, no, that's the truth.
Yeah,
that's what Tracy Twyman was talking about.
Yeah,
the narrative containers, the narrative frameworks. That is Indra's net. Keeps us in states of consciousness, fear, lust, anger.
Yeah,
those are the maras. Those are the true maras. People often get mad at me. I'm sure you've seen it online, especially people who are more devoted to like Vedic ideals and ideas. Buddhism is a total rejection of that. We look at their gods as maras, as sort of our own lust, desires, bullshit.
Yeah.
And so you will look at the higher Buddhas and they'll be stepping on those Vedic gods. Not always Vedic gods. Sometimes they step on tantric gods. But it's like such a nuanced thing that's like people don't even get it. Like we're ontological. We've moved on. We don't need the pantheon anymore.
Yes, we're ontological. What means ontology, the study of ontology, the study of being itself, not God, little beings, these little things. Yeah, no, I completely agree. Which then we use guerrilla ontology, a term that Robert Anton Wilson coined, to basically go through our nervous system to be able to untrap ourselves from these linguistic traps that we've set for ourselves through not only my life as almost a 40-year-old man, but thousands and thousands of years of the human body taking on signs, symbols, stories, and then living experiences to move us through this mythological journey. That's an embodied mythos. That's why I'm trying to take things from the abstract and into the concrete, is because once we all understand and vibrate with the great work, that's what we're talking about here. This is, I think, the great work, no matter if you're talking about it through more of the Western ascent, like I like to, because that's my experience, or Jin's, I have a West meets East experience. Jin has an East meets West experience, if you mind me saying that, because of our different, we meet in Kung Fu land, obviously. And it's different than a lot of people out there in the esoteric community. Would you say not?
I think that Pope Pete, and I'm just going to say it, I think he was on to something. I think he was right. But I think that he too got lost. I think that
he birthed a lot of people.
That Thanatos bullshit and that Frater UD and the ice magic and the fire and ice.
Yep.
And I'm definitely more an acolyte of Pete for sure. He was more of a fire and flowers guy. As we're reading for Grey Lodge Epiphanion, I think he wouldn't even be mad at me using my kind of like Gnostic, even though he thought Crowley was like a huge PH. We won't say that. Yeah. But
swear words.
Right, exactly. So but I think he would be, I'm more on his side, is what I'm trying to say.
Like, I just wish he wouldn't have gotten rid of the great work, and he tells people to concentrate on synchronicities. These are two ridiculous things that birth the postmodern blue hairs. I can't stand.
But Brandon, I agree with what he's saying, because people focus way too much on what they perceive as the mysticism of the world, which also obfuscates our relationship with, if you want to call it capital G God or Hashem or Diamond Thunder, I'm just going to call it Diamond Thunder or Rigpa or Primordial Clarity. Yes, it does.
Yeah.
When we focus too heavily on the Ketu, on the delusory smoke, the Neptune, you can say Neptune. I think that Neptune and Ketu are the same thing. I know this is kind of a little radical, and like I also would say it's Hokmah. I would say all of those three things are maybe different densities of the same thing.
Oh yeah.
So what I'm trying to say, maybe in this very roundabout way, I mean, I don't even know. I think the point is we don't want to get lost in the supernaturalism. It's not, it's not 1702 when we're not like running around our house by candlelight. We shouldn't, and by me saying that we should try and explore technology through metaphysics, I'm not saying that we should I'm not either saying that we should obscure technological knowledge or scientific knowledge or scientific even materialism from like the plebes or the normies.
Yeah, of course.
But I just think that for people who are trying to understand reality in its fullness and its completeness, I think that actually using metaphysics to describe it is very close to the thing without necessarily being technical. So I definitely take a more speculative approach than you do, which is good probably because you sort of bring us back to the path. Okay. But I
Yeah.
also encourage people not to get caught up too much. And so I've noticed this, like now that we have so many girls, skywives as we joke, in the lodge.
Yeah.
Just a joke, obviously.
Wait, obviously joking.
Obviously.
We're both,
But,
neither Jin nor I actually want a harem.
well,
I know. Too
okay.
much. Too
But
much.
anyways, I really don't. But well, you know. Is this a triad? I don't know. Or is this a harem? I mean,
No,
okay.
12.
Anyways, no 12.
12.
That's too many wives to take care of.
That's what I'm saying.
Rich.
Unless I'm a Persian,
I'm not rich enough.
unless I'm like a king, Saudi Arabian king.
Oh yeah, that would be okay. Oil money.
Oil money.
Right, and that would be fine, as I said.
With the ring of Solomon.
Right, well, you would need it, right? You need to conquer all the jinns, no pun.
Yeah, of course.
Right, to like bring all of them under your will. You know,
You have
with the
to.
ring,
and then you have 72 angels always around you.
Correct.
And then you are
72 demons
at all times because you need balance.
But do you know that that's partly why he had the big harems? I think that this is what also gets lost, is that women are the conduits for the dakinis and also for the spiritual forces.
Yeah.
Because they have wombs. I've said this so many times. They have wombs. They're more empty.
Well, Crowley did state that.
So that's why Crowley had his little harem of skywives.
He did, but he did state that no, I don't know. I don't want to say it. It doesn't matter. Something about with not having souls doesn't matter. It has to do with the womb thing. I don't want it. I don't care.
You know what? I just think that we shouldn't focus too highly on supernaturalism. Do I not believe in it? Of course I believe in it.
Of course, but it's
I'm
not
a
to be focused on.
I say I'm a Scion or a Dukun or whatever it is of that day, whatever I'm feeling, Monkey King on the carnal ground, right?
Fucking right.
The reality is, well, okay, you can be Goku. That's fine. I'll be a Dukun today.
I actually want to be Gojo, but that's fine.
Okay. Well, then you can be Gojo and I'll be Goku.
Perfect.
That kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. But then you also have to admit that, like, so what I'm saying is I agree that supernaturalism is real to a degree, but I think it's a matter of perception.
It's a matter of because it has to be.
Correct. So if you are,
and that's what Jacques Vallée is talking about with our alien disclosure that's going on, and what I keep telling people about. No, it is. Go on.
Okay, well, I don't know about aliens, as I always say. So, but because I'm much more of like I'm comfortable sitting in the speculative, but then when we're getting off into like aliens, I don't know. It just seems like we're adding in like a. It's like adding in like it's like having a threesome and like this unknown quantity, right? Like you're just like inviting in a stranger.
Yeah, of course.
And it's like it just gets messy. Okay, so let's just like why even include the aliens to begin with? Let's just like cut them out. And I can't touch or see an alien right now, so I don't know.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's why it's Project Bluebeam. We can't believe it because I think disclosure has already happened, and we just have to read the books of the past because all the Magi's have been tapping in with their nervous system, and I think that's the ultra terrestrials. There may be, but it doesn't matter. People can go to my past talks. Kyvan and I did 2-3 shows on the things that have been going on with aliens and whatnot.
Well, all I know is that yes, the magic has to be embodied, and that has to be true. It has to be like practical. It has to be in the world. I agree, and I've always eschewed gross acts of magic and also supernaturalism.
Yeah,
but it doesn't mean that I don't believe again those things are real. Of course, they're real.
Of course, they're real.
Yeah. But I'm also saying that we shouldn't place too much emphasis on the materiality, nor on the quote unquote spiritual. We need an integrated approach. That's Aeonic.
That's Aeonic.
Integration.
It is
those two things.
Yeah.
Not the polarities of just existing in the bardo, which is where the spirits really come from. Like you want to talk about like who the skywives are. They're carnal ground beings.
Yeah.
They're not all carnal ground beings. That's the trick, is that some descend to teach us, to give us higher knowledge, to actually bring death with them.
That sounds like the Watchers.
Well, they are very ferocious and they're red. And if you've ever seen The Ninth Gate, I know Vanessa's in the chat, so I'll shout this out. Maybe Vanessa will come do my 25th episode with me.
There you go.
And we'll do Ninth Gate. Anyways,
Nice.
but that would be fun, right? But anyways, I think the idea is, look, whether I'm talking about processes of consciousness, things that happen in Sephirotic journeys, Merkaba journeys, tantric experiences,
Yeah.
the Skywives. Of course, when I've had my own experiences, whatever those may be, or whatever people want to interpret that as, I feel like they were real. Like I felt like it was very real. Like it was like as real as anything.
Hyper
else.
real, way more real than
Hyper
actually.
real.
Yeah.
So then the reality, the perhaps meta reality, is that that is also about perception. I just don't give them an extra fairy tale of being aliens. I think that I think men are a lot more, not just men, obviously, women, people are agents of like what arises. Like I think the thought form, the sort of psionic like way to understand magic, I'm not saying that's 100% true, but I think it's closer to the truth than saying 100% supernaturalism. I'm against, like, I'm probably happier with like a 75% psionic.
Well, that
20,
yeah,
20% materialist, and then the rest can be. Then you have 5% supernaturalist. That's the kind of like.
That's a good. I like that. No, I live in that paradigm too, especially because every time I've had my own, so I have a few different, some would call them abduction experiences. One major one, but I don't call it that because I was on 4 and 5 grams of mushrooms. And so, but to be honest, I know that it wasn't me just making up shit, is because of my friend who was doing it with me as we were going through our thing, witnessed the exact same thing. And it made us feel very uncomfortable because of how intense it was to be peered at by beings or some things, that because it seemed more of like an expulsion of my soul to seeing. It's like kind of like the integration of what we would know as like a X-Files alien abduction with the idea of the weighing of the heart ceremony in Egyptian with the Mott and the weighing of the heart against the feather, as well as many other things. And it's because of, I'm guessing,
Aeon of Mott also. You know, like I think people need to hear this. Like it is the Aeon of Horus, sure, that's fine, but it's also the Aeon of Mott. And so, you know, and that's another Tiferatic kind of idea, that you have to bring things into balance. It is really about Tiferet.
Yes, and that
and
goes,
even the tantric idea, the sun, like the SUN, that can be thought of as sort of like the outer planetary potentiality of the Aeon. So like, even if you're just like, you don't know what to do, you're like, oh, what is this crazy guy on YouTube saying? About the Aeons and about how we like have to move through them. Well, the sun actually has a really magical property in Vedic astrology, Jyotisha, is that it can actually combust any planet that's particularly negative in our chart if we cultivate it enough. So there's an idea that like you can use the mantra of the sun, SUN, to at least get to some kind of degree of understanding, if not greater knowledge.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
let
that
me just
only makes sense,
that's a very
because
practical way, right?
The sun goes back to us talking about Tippereth. Is that I think there's a connection there to the reverberation of the cleansing of things, a unification of your holy guardian angel.
Through fire, we can return to the primordial waters.
Yes.
Well, what is the primordial waters? The primordial waters of Hesed are not really waters. It's really air. And it's really diamond thunder. That's really why that's the 13, right?
Yeah.
It's the 3 elements that become
3 in 1. 3 in 1.
That's it.
Or Alphas let me talk about that.
Exactly. Or the one that arises from the 3.
Yeah.
Right? So, but it is the water. So that is the polarities between the seas, the supernal ocean and the Chthonic ocean. And in that, it's called the ocean of stable lightnings. That is why people place such emphasis on Hesed and sort of understanding that Sephira and sort of looking at it as like this infinite expansive potentiality, because it is, but it's only in potentiality with Gevra. That's where Crowley is wrong. The way he positions Horus on the tree, Horus is always going to fly forward, but being in Gevra actually inhibits him. If you really wanted to be clever, you would place Horus at Tiferet, and you'd place the daughter, as Frater Achad did, but he placed her at Binah. There's a lady in the 90s called Nema. She placed the daughter in Hod. If you think about it from a path working perspective, you have the whole red pillar, and then those two paths, Binah to Hesed and Hod to Hesed. Okay? You have Horus in the middle. Maybe he is the arrow itself. Then you have the daughter, who stands where? Not in the Sephira, on the paths. She is the one who holds
she's
the tension.
She's the embodiment of path working.
Correct.
Of like path actually being in the world.
Correct.
Yeah.
So you need her to make the other shit work. It only makes sense. So yeah, she has to be the Jean Grey. She has to be the Phoenix. She has to walk through the heatless fire. She has to remain pristine. That's the whole idea.
Not become possessed and be the white.
Correct. By lust. But it can also refer to all the 5 Maras. Again, that number 5. Because Buddhism always posits the 1 and the 10 as the resolution to the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Not the 9, not the 8, not the 7. It is always the 10, the 1 and the 0. This is really important.
It is.
Because that even refers to, it's not a limitation, it's an expansiveness. It's the ability to zimzum, contraction and expansion within the world.
Which is exactly what Pythagoras was even getting at with his tetrax. Correct. That is the 1 and the 10, that in the reverberation, and that's his whole harmony of the spheres.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because emptiness is not nothingness. And this is like
I can't believe I actually was thinking of you today mowing the lawn when I was contemplating that whole idea that some people want to, that I just doesn't matter. Go on. I'm just, it's I'm like, how can you imagine like nothing?
Well, is space nothing? Space is filled with air.
Of course not. Nothing.
The space that we are on Earth, and we are like between. If you're okay, so if I'm standing on the hill, you're mowing on the hill, like you're like 25 feet away.
Yeah.
Is there something between us? Yes, there's space is between us, but there's also like the air we breathe that we cannot see, all the water vapor, all the particulates that we can't see. That like the airwaves, the aramon, it exists in space.
Yeah.
So space is not empty, but then there's like an inner space and a secret space.
Yeah.
What is the inner space? Well, the inner space is within our bodies, so we won't. That's already that we don't need to get to that layer. But the secret layer is more interesting because then you're applying will. So then what is between us? Well, it depends. Are we friends? Are we enemies?
Right.
Are we doing competition mowing? My neighbors do that with me. They'll mow the lawn in patterns and I don't.
Yeah.
So like my lawn always looks the worst, but you know what? It is what it is. Like I'm not pedantic like that.
That's
so
funny.
Anyways, it doesn't matter. But
I mow the same way and I try to switch it up, but it's go on.
No, but I'm just saying that emptiness is masslessness and luminousness. It's the light. It's the quality of inner luminosity. It's not the quality of the outer luminaries. So, and that's another Tiferatic thing that people get wrong. And like I did say, like, okay, go look up the mantra of Surya or the sun, which people can do. But then you can also get lost at the sun with your own ego, because that is also what is the outer density of Tiferet. Well, that's the ego. It's the sort of like the fixed self that you say, I am this and I must be this and I must stay this. And so you never ascend higher than into the worlds.
Yeah. Even though you think you do, you've become disillusioned by yourself because
you can travel to Saturn and say, I do not want to change. That's different though. But that is why there is a path between Binah and Tiferet.
Yeah.
And that is like, it can be very fixative. So I think it's good to be like, to have like dialectical relationships between all the Sephira, like you were saying, like bring the spheres into balance. Well, the way to bring them into balance is to A, walk the middle pillar.
Yeah.
B, to recognize them as all as empty, meaning the Sephira are negative space. They are the light that's refracted through the paths. I know that's going to be challenging for people.
Yeah.
Negative
I
space at
just
the
thought
center,
that. I
negative
just thought
space,
that.
not the gemstones, not the planets. Yes, I believe the planets are klebas. That does not mean I'm saying they're evil, just
No,
as
not
an
at all.
idea.
Yeah.
But it's the physical, the material density, right? So we want to go beyond that idea. So it's important to remember that the sun is not a planet, it's a star. So you can actually flow through flow through a star if you are made of quicksilver or adamantine or both.
Yeah, no, I like that. And then to go back into it, even the idea of like zero isn't even, it's not like you pull up at the major arcana and zero is a fucking blank card. It's the Fool. And so it's like, how important, you know, when we move through these things, is it to know that like from nothing can come nothing. So it's like you can't make something from nothing, right? I think that's just such. So it's like there are people who believe that zero means nothing.
Zero does not mean nothing. It is the potentiality of the universe to expand infinitely in Hesed and to contract as it should within our perception, meaning that we do not have to ascribe meanings to things, even if just because we don't understand something, just because we don't understand the boundary of space, or if it has a boundary, if it doesn't have a boundary, we can just be like, okay, we don't know.
Yeah.
That's part of the teacher aspect of Gevra.
Yeah.
People never, people, some Hasids know this, but Gevra can be associated with the teacher.
Well, it's not always isn't Mars such a teacher sometimes,
Well, people assign it to the severity of the teacher.
Yeah.
But it's not the severity of the teacher. It's actually a process of consciousness in the teacher's own mind. It's his ability to give multiple lessons to a variety of students at different stages of the marga or the path that are going to be useful and fruitful for them even at different stages.
Yeah, no.
If you want to think of it as in a classroom, you can think of it in a classroom.
Well,
you will have people of different abilities, intellects, interests, and you have to give them all something that is interesting, that is going to be intellectually rigorous, and also be able to teach them something not only about the world, but maybe about themselves. So a good teacher is able to do that. That's why there's so few good teachers, because you have to be very reconciled within the polarities. You cannot be at extremes. That's what Gevra really is. It's not severity in the trueness, in like the fullness of that word. It's really the ability to use discernment. That's what Gevra really is.
No, I like that because it becomes, again, the embodied actual, like, how do you see it in your life? And I always like to think of, as we're climbing our way up the tree, as the magicians, we like to do it all, right? So we're going up all the areas, but to be able to truly pass on into, and again, this is my mythology of how I see it, is to be able to, Gabura is that almost like, fight. I like the teacher idea, is because the only way to pass on to the next grade in the teacher metaphor is to be able to have that teacher make sure that it does train you accordingly, and only when you can like truly burn away all the nonsense that you've then gathered on the way, there's still some things left over to pass on into the holy palace of Chisid. This Jupiterian energy that is now all encompassing and all compassionate in a certain way, very feminine in that way, as that then the Gabura that's over here is
switched.
It's switched.
So Gabura can be feminine.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's
what Hesed can be the sun.
The sun, right? Yeah.
Jupiter,
as the father.
Correct. Well, I posited this
or
to
sun.
Kaiba.
Yeah, okay.
Well, Jesus, Jesus is very Hasidic.
He does. Very true. Yeah, that's true. Even though Jesus, for me, would still be on that rising and dying God, Tifereth.
Yes, but he is the sun. Technically, he is the sun rather than he is Tiferet.
Which sun?
But Tiferet can have. There can be a Gevra of Tiferet.
Yeah, of course.
And a Hesed of Tiferet.
Yeah, the Dionysian in comparison to this Apollonian figure, right?
That's if you take it in a dualistic way.
Right. Yeah.
Like you can say that he's actually at Dath. You don't have to say he's at Tiferet. That's like an outer, more norming way to understand. His heart is at Tiferet. No, his heart is at Tiferet.
Because it's direct knowledge. It is. That's what I'm saying. The Catholic of him on the cross.
But if he's
the
on
cross
the
is the Tiferet. Yeah. So that's an exoteric, esoteric, right?
Horns, He wears a crown of thorns around where? His skull cup. That is death.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
So he's in higher knowledge. Orthodox people posit him as falling down into the underworld to act as a cork. But they're also non-dual. So when they're saying the cork, they're not just meaning the lower world as in like the underworld. They're also meaning the higher world as in death. That means Christ serves as like a gatekeeper between those worlds.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like if you want to really look at it like really, like K-ball. You want to play real K-ball?
Real K-ball.
Boys in the Hood, the Jays in the Hood. That's what it is. He is the halfway point, but we can also, it's not that I think that I'm Jesus or anyone is Jesus. It's like that.
It's esoteric. It's a mythology of Jesus.
Christ can be, right. He can serve as a metaphorical or metaphysical both archetype, but he can also actually be an aeonic figure if you understand him as the aeon of the sun.
The Christos, so that integration
higher
with
knowledge
Sophia,
will go with death.
That's the Gnostic mythology of
love. You have to have love to make it work. That's what the Aeon of the Daughter brings in.
Because they actually are needed. You're gonna love Divine Invasion, bro. We're going deep in the Divine Invasion. Yeah.
Well, we'll do a two-parter, Brandon.
Okay.
You're worth it.
Yeah.
I know we'll just go for like 3 hours and I'll have to cut it anyway. So it's like it totally makes sense to just say it live now. Anyways, I think that you have to. I think middle path. I think this is where Crowley got it wrong. I think this is where Frederick Chod got it wrong. I think this is where Emma got it wrong. You cannot position the Aeons in the Sephira. The Aeons have to be on the path. The only Sephira that really makes sense is obviously Yesod and Tiferet. So the daughter, like the Babylon working, Parsons Babylon working, you can say the daughter arises at Yesod, Babylon, New Babylon, Babylon with an A, not a Y. Right? Because she's dancing. She doesn't need the Yud.
Yeah.
She doesn't need to be fixed by the foot. She can, she can be free.
Dancing on the moon.
Dancing on the moon. But she can arise. If you look at Buddhist iconography, she actually can stand on a sun disk. So what does that mean? It's interesting, right? And like if you look at sun figures in Buddhism, he often arises with a consort on the sun. Well, he always arises on a sun disk. But when you look at his peaceful form, because he also has a peaceful form, he actually arises on a moon disk. And you'll hear this a lot in tantric root texts, like like the real shit, like real like live wire, like full on tantra currents. They talk about this relationship between the 5 and the 6. Well, ever since I started studying sort of the more esoteric, Lurianic, and Cordovero texts, there are times where the tree gets repositioned so Dath becomes 5. That's a really interesting implication.
That's crazy.
And we also understand that Dath begins at Yesod. There's a secret threshold. It's called the Silver Gate. It's like shout out to Ochki and like Sailor Moon Kabbalah. Right? Because like if you look at Sailor Moon, like I always say, watch Sailor Moon and you'll figure it all out. It has all the Kabbalah in it. It does. It has the Gnostic story and the Kabbalah. Chibi Yusa is the daughter with the pink hair. That's an Aeonic color. She rides the unicorn, the Pegasus. That's her mount, her Vahana. The flying horse who turns into a little boy who's also a dragon. The horse and the dragon, just like in St. George iconography, are interlinked. And then there is also love. Because if you look at Sailor Pluto, who I would assign to Dath, she wields a giant staff that has a heart and a key. She's the lock. She's what Kenny G was talking about. She is the lock, the plutonic power to take us out of the fucking hyperspace kingdom into higher knowledge. So we can then become the stewards, the captains of the ship, the bearers of that Promethean spark. At least the spark, if not the flame. Maybe we can never achieve in our lifetime because we were born in a silver age.
Yeah, I know.
Like maybe we can never achieve like, full flame.
Yeah.
Maybe. I'm not limiting people.
But
I'm just positing it as an idea.
I like that. Is it this woman?
There you go. Sailor Pluto. Yes, she is the strongest guardian. She's the special protector of Chibi Yusa, who is the daughter with the pink hair. who has a very Nuria-like arc, where the Archons take her, brainwash her, and tell her nobody loves her. There's Cassandra right there with her Chibi user profile picture. So she gets brainwashed by the Archons, develop these crazy psionic powers of the dark side, but she always possesses them. She always had them, but the demons kind of corrupted them and told her nobody loved her and made her forget her own name.
That's
one of the
so
most
telling.
important things.
It's so telling.
Sophia, right?
Yeah, that's if you forget your own name. And if you don't know your own name, you can't unlock the secrets of your own heart, which are your true, authentic self. That is some of the deepest. That is one of the secret keys of the Illuminati. Jin, we're just dropping knowledge, bro. Just dropping fucking knowledge. Sailor Moon, anime, mythology, and it's genius. Go on. Dropping bars. Fucking bars.
We're an hour in, and we are only discussing my paradigm, my worldview, and yours, obviously.
Yeah.
We did not discuss trends in the occult world.
Yes,
so
I agree. This is a good segue. This is a good segue, and I do want to slightly before this is going to be a good segue, and I want everybody to listen. I want you to listen up real nice. If you haven't already, subscribe, like, and share on MagusintheMedia, and go over to Threshold Saints. Jin, the ninja of the Grey Lodge, the Hapaborean Prince King himself. If you like these types of things, just make sure we're always, we are not loose stealers. We are the givers of the good vibes and energy. And so it's just really good to make sure you support those who you love. I want everyone to know this concept that he was just talking about is really important, because it goes back to the difference between trends, I think, that move in and out, which we see a lot of, because there are a lot, like with Instagram and social media and X, now we can see trends come and go even faster, fascinating enough. But in what he and I have been talking about is this thing that I think is this golden thread through the East and the West. It's a universal principles that survive cycles, the cyclical nature of LARPing and these strange things that come in and out of our social cultural spheres through time. And so this thing he was just talking about is this tapping into these secret centers of our human experience, which which we use symbols and metaphor and mythology to truly try to understand, is that we are the ones who put ourselves to sleep, and it's time for I to wake up. And I think that these stories are doing that to us, helping us wake up to this great work.
Well, of course, that's why I had to come online and subject myself to the horrors of the carnal ground, because social media is the carnal ground. Let's be clear. Yeah. I've said it many times. It's no surprise that I think this.
Yeah.
And so I had to subject myself, my half a saint, threshold saint self, like a liminal being for sure, to both a carnal ground being and maybe a higher ideal person in my mind, at least.
Yeah.
And so so I came online to discuss this is the reason.
This is my reason
to talk about the Aeonic shift, to discuss what I thought I was seeing as this only, all alone in all the world. A boy was born, and he, carried with him this spark of splendor that he saw the Aeonic colors and, had some Skywife experiences. So that's basically it. And so I came online to discuss that. That's why I always am careful about, I was trying to be a little more conservative in the way I approach magical material. And it's not because I'm rigid. It's really not. It's because I want to make sure that I remain close to the truth, close to Dharma, not bullshit as much. Obviously we all all online is a little bit of a LARP. That is what it is.
It's true.
So I embrace it. So, but I don't live I don't who I am online is not so divorced from me.
No, it's the authentic thing, and that's what we're trying to gather, is those out there, those invisibles in their own cell groups across the world, it's the authentic individual. You know what I mean?
And that's one of the problems with living in an aeon of decoherence.
Yeah.
is that, and this is not new. This is not like something that just because I posit that it shifted in 2020 to match the Aeonic number, obviously.
No, I mean, look what we were fucking going through as a world.
Well, exactly. But I think it actually happened before that. I think that was just a turning of our perceptions.
Of
And there was
course.
also a Saturn-Neptune conjunction at that exact same time,
Yeah.
which would destroy the known world as we understand it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I do think that, though, there have always been trends in the occult world.
Always.
There's been, Wicca was really popular. Like 1995, what was the trend of the occult world?
Yeah.
It was Wicca.
Yeah, the craft.
Exactly. It was Dianic Wicca. It was fairy Wicca. It wasn't just Wicca, though. It was like all neo-paganism, all reconstructionists as a true.
Yeah.
These were mainstream topics in 1995. Like people had a kid or had two kids or had like whatever. They all knew like someone who was like a witch. The way it got kind of buried and became very unfashionable because it was like a little too alt. It was like too alt in the mainstream. So then people sort of like were like, then there was like even the evangelical Christianity. There's something very esoteric about some of it. Like that Paula lady, that Trump's advisor, she knows how to use the fucking Bible as what it should be.
Yeah, it's a magical tool. It's one of the oldest magical
tools. Exactly what it is, crossing out the name of the prophet.
Yeah.
People around online were acting like that was like the most blasphemous name the most blasphemous thing they ever heard. That is how you use it in Kabbalah. Yeah. That is what you do. You do that for the prayer of Daniel. That's one of the first things I ever learned.
Yeah.
You take the prayer of Daniel, you write it out, you replace his name with your own name. Then you drink some anise tea, like bitter herbs, but like anise seeds tea to help your stomach before you go to bed. And you sleep on the prayer. And so then supposedly you'll like sort of like gain a dream from Hashem or from whomever, like a high guardian angel, whatever. And that will help facilitate that experience. So like when I'm saying that, like this is like a very old fashioned magic, and people be like, oh, Bible magic, that's like very grandma of you, Jen. And like people who know me know I kind of like that kind of magic, but that's not the point. The point is like the Bible is also a narrative. It's also like a story. It doesn't mean that I'm not insulting anyone. I'm really not. I'm the most like Christian Kabbalah friendly, non-Christian, like occultist, magician, sorcerers, dukun, whatever I am. I'm the most friendly that you could ever find.
Me too.
Sense, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but the reality is that it is magic. It is very, very powerful. And so when she does those videos of like, she's like, I write my name out and put my, scratch the prophet's name out and write my own name in. Okay. That's Kabbalah. That's exactly what you would do. That's like what a real magi does.
Oh, yeah.
So like all those people that want to learn online about being like trad or ortho bro, and like, look, I like orthodoxy. It's clearly Kabbalah too. Like there's clearly an esoteric layer. I'm not going to be a Christian. I want to go a little further, a little wilder, a little higher, not wilder in my life, but wilder in my mind.
In my mind, and not be limited by somebody else's gnosis or telling me and describing what gnosis is to me. That's the line. It's like, I don't, it's almost like, I get why people don't want to have gnosis, but once you
not everybody's meant for it,
and they're not, and it says that, and it says that
exactly. And some people are meant for the outer religion.
Yeah,
that's why I always say, like, that's why I never shit on Christians. And even though I do get mad at Hindus a lot, like, look, there are people's consciousness is going to be at the outer religion that they're of where they are. Like that's what for outer consciousness people, they need. Even if the institution is like crumbling in front of them, there will be people who will not be able to, like, they cannot even recognize it. They wouldn't even say if it's falling down. Like the bricks are falling down before them, like the roof is caving in. They will not be like, oh, we need to get out of the building.
Oh, no. Yeah.
And that's fine. That's fine. That's what samsara is. We come back. We hopefully gain more in our consciousness. We remember more, not necessarily of who we were or who we are, but like in this life, you know, when we're reborn. But maybe we recognize like, okay, there are things on the marga that I have to encounter, I have to overcome, that I'm drawn to. Why am I drawn to this? Is it something that brought me to my end in a past life? That's a real karmic way to think of it.
It is. Yeah,
Or is it something that I have to complete? So there's a difference. So we get all of these aggregations, all the skandhas, exactly the same thing. A skandha and a klipa are the same thing, same meaning. So we get all these aggregates of who we think we are in this life and who we think we were in that life. That's why I say just reconcile this life. Don't worry about the past life. Just reconcile this life.
Because then that leads to more woo-woo.
Correct.
To try to it's
correct.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. It just means that we are trying to appraise it in a pragmatic way. Because if we worry about all the multiverse, all the selves in the multiverse, yes, that all can be reconciled also in your own mind, in the Yesod, in the Nine.
But understanding that it is but a model to experience this one reality that we're experiencing through to. Yeah.
Because the moon is like the rock of Jah, is in Hashem, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it goes back to the idea of like how important it is to see the layers of these things. So even though people in the Longhouse, right, in these Abrahamic traditions, its roots stem from the mystery school traditions, and so it's like why not go back to base material to try to understand these things once you find the esoteric? Why limit yourself to certain sephiras, certain fields of perception, instead of going through it all? Because then we can see the magical worldview in all things, which is my issue with people like in the magical occult trends, right? This is Jay Dyer being one of them, right?
And so he's a magician.
He's a magician,
Brandon, because I pointed out that he should not say anything about someone else practicing magic. And I said this to Kaiva.
Yeah,
I said, she's like, what colors did he have, Jen? I was like, pink and slime green. She's like, and we both said at the same time, we're like, Aeonic colors.
Yeah.
It was like, we both knew instantly. And all I said to him was like, don't call out other people for magic.
Yeah.
When you know K-ball, like, give me a fucking break.
Give me a break. Give me a break. And so
there's nothing wrong with it. Why is everyone so ashamed? They're all like cool to use it and be online. Being online is an act of magic too.
So much. And that goes back to what we were talking about in the early 90s, what was going on. You get the whole cyber workings. Oh. You get Buffy the Vampire Slayer, one of the only witch on there, not the only, but one of the first witches was her teacher, who was a computer nerd.
Yes.
And she was, and in
Calendar. I can't believe you know this.
Miss Calendar, of course.
Okay.
It's, you know, Miss Calendar was awesome. And so the idea is that she was, that episode where she was there, and she was there for a while until she died. Rest in peace, Miss Calendar. That was awful. But the thing is she, by Angel. But the thing is they tapped into exactly what some say Sam Altman is doing, and with ChatGPT, tapping into Sumerian fucking deities. You know, like through magical.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was it was the season 2 episode where Willow scans the book at the library.
Yep.
And then it like takes the demon out of the book.
Yep.
Places, but there's a metaphor there, right? It's not talking about that the demon is in the book in this deep metaphysical way. The demon is the words. Contained in the words, contained in the spell, contained in the mantra, whatever you want to fucking say. The story, even the story can be used to contain a demon. There's so many folk tales, legends. And of course, like what Brandon did was really chronopoetic and interesting because he played off the fact that I said 95 and he brought us back a little further. So he was like, okay, early 90s. And yes, this is the thing. The chaos magic was the way of mid 80s to the early 90s.
It was,
that fell out of favor because it took a too psychological and probably hard materialist approach to the material. I agree.
Yeah.
And so because magic is not a religion, and magic was never supposed to be a religion, and magic's not a substitution for religion. That's why I always posit this Aeon as psionic rather than like magical. Because I think if we think of it like that, we're more integrated in ourselves and in our like humanity too, because we're recognizing that it has to occur in Hesed, in like that deep perception of loving kindness. And that is what controls the arrow, is that Jupiterian force. But what holds the string is the Gevuratic discernment of what we're going to build. So we have to sort of be in. You need multiple people to break the fucking paradigm of the house in the bathhouse.
Yeah,
that's what we need.
Have to.
We need to break Like,
Yes.
I know
Yes.
I don't call it this because like I don't care about desert people like at all. I'm just saying, like, I care about North America. I always say this, like North America, the New World Island, Hyperborea, the turtle's back, the axial age turning is here. I believe that.
Yeah.
So I care about the people that I'm like here with. Like, and like y'all nuggas can go figure out your own lives. That's fine. But like when we're talking about the turtle, like I'm gonna say what my piece is. So yeah, I believe that we're here. So I don't worry about anything outside of the borders
No.
in that way,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I'm not like a third worldist like that. I know a lot of our friends are and stuff, and I get it. And like I know that everybody hates Zog and all that. Okay, fine. I just don't care. I just don't really care. But I understand that it bothers people a lot.
Yeah.
And so I take the approach that like we need to break if we want to break through that, if you want to like break Zio America, it's not about political action, it's not about meta politics, um like activism or like
No.
destruction through like
About
wanting
breaking
it
that egregore
or
of
even being angry.
you can't be
It
angry
is
at it.
literally in the single pointed will, like such a Buddhist and like amazing Kabbalistic. You have to lightning strike
You have to
those buildings,
Yeah.
not the buildings, but I mean like you have to lightning strike not the buildings. I meant like the
What you got a lightning
institutional
strike is
ideas.
Yahoo himself, wherever he's
Okay,
at
well, you
with
have
his
to like
Kushner
with your
friend.
mind. No, well, I don't care about him. He's probably a really good Kabbalist. You probably shouldn't go up against him. Is what I'm trying to say.
I'll go up against that fuck.
You cannot go up against him. He's probably protected you.
I don't give a
He
fuck.
probably has a bunch of rabbis helping him.
I don't need that. I don't give a fuck. I'm Jean Grey. I got the psionic
I'm not
battlefield.
putting limitations on anyone. I'm just saying.
Wow.
I'm legit just saying.
Wow. I pulled up a pic. I won't do it. I'm not gonna pull up a picture of him, but man, that guy is a robot. But go on.
Okay, well, coming back down to reality.
Yeah, and a sodomizer, but that's a whole.
Okay, we're coming back from Keter to Malkuth. We're not going to cast aspersions on our
You're right.
pristine carnal ground / garden.
Thank you.
So basically,
yeah, exactly. Thanks, Mr. Mama. Yeah.
So to break the Zio America Zog, break Amerizog, we have to be single pointed in our will. And that doesn't mean that we all have to get along or agree, but we have to kind of like break it in our minds, which means that we have to kind of let our own preconceptions go. One of the things I was thinking about discussing with you, and this isn't a change of subject, but I just wanted to say this since I sort of conceptualized it. America is actually a chimeric country. Like I was thinking of this in terms of like East Asian, like specifically Chinese, like there are 4 world guardians. There's a phoenix. There's a turtle snake, which is actually like it's the body of a turtle and it has a tail. Its tail is a serpent. Okay. There's a white tiger and a dragon, a green dragon. If you want to say those are like greater archetypes of like the Pangaian or whatever kind of like four land world, the axial age or the axial sort of primordial way that the world was in our like Hyperborean ancestry or whatever, Atlantean, like whatever, Tartaria, whatever it is, okay?
Whatever.
So whatever it was. I think that really that you have to say that America is very Rahu and Ketu. It's very, very much like this. Some people say it's Uranic or whatever. I'm saying Rahu and Ketu because that's what I think that the outer 3 are more closely rather than those planets that they posit. But that's me, right? So I think it's a very Rahu and Ketu. I think you have to accept that America is always going to have an evil. There's going to be a thing where it's all about itself. That's America. It's Luciferian. It's going to be a little bit selfish, a little bit about itself. You have to recognize that. And it's going to be a little bit manic, a little bit wild, a little bit Ketuvian, a little bit like, let's get the fuck out of here. Like, it's like a restlessness. That's part of the American spirit. So that's part of like the American quote unquote egregore. Like I don't really use that kind of shit, Brandon, like to describe things, but I'm gonna do it for your show. But
Thanks.
because like I'm more traditional like that. I'm saying. Anyways, but yeah, I think the American egregore, you're gonna have to recognize that not everyone's gonna like it either. Not everybody likes a chimera. Chimera is someone who is like composite, like
Yeah.
Hyperborean, maybe
Yeah.
you could even
You
say.
can't
Made of two
identify it.
kings.
You can't
Correct.
name it.
Ambiguous in a way. So
Really
They're gonna
ambiguous,
be-
not ambiguous, fake LARPing ambiguity because you're a confused child.
correct.
Yeah.
Land of the feathered serpent.
Yeah.
Thank you, mind thy
Yeah.
mind. That's
Yeah.
exactly correct.
That was
We
nice.
are. This is the turtle island. So why was I bringing up the Chinese thing? Because I was like, okay, well, how would you translate it into like a Taoist sort of like primordial cosmology? I was like, well, the turtle doesn't really exist as a primordial animal, but actually, if you look at Mexico, it does actually look like a serpent. If you say that the body of the turtle is actually North America, and then conceptualize the tail as Mexico and in Central America, it does kind of look like that.
That's cool. Yeah, I like that.
And so because I'm not like, I know that a lot of people, especially like a lot of people on like the online right or the far right or the wingnuts or whatever they are, they really feel deeply connected to Europe, and Europe is the eagle, right? Like Europe
Yes.
is the Garuda.
Yeah.
It's always trying to keep us down. Like the whole point of it is like, I also think America's pole switched. I know this is going to sound really crazy. Because if you are landing on
wait. This is going to sound real crazy. Okay, go on.
If you're landing on the East Coast as like a new pilgrim or like a Mason, say you're secretly a Mason.
Which most of our founding fathers were.
Correct. That's why I'm using that metaphor.
Mason.
I know. So basically, which way are you gonna? You have to face east for some of those rites, the buildings, right?
Yeah.
So which way are you gonna face? If you're like 10 feet away from the coast, where are you gonna face? You're gonna face west. You're gonna face towards California, towards the Golden Mountain.
Yeah,
there's something magic in California.
Progress moves westerly because of the sun rises in the east and falls in the west, which is then why we're seeing this. Why I think that I'm not the first person to say this, is that like why the movement back, and then what happens with this amalgamation of all these things from Europe on into now this melting pot / tapestry of the chimeric that you're talking about, and all of a sudden you have this western bound gold boom thing that happens after you cross all four. America has every landscape mass on it. So this is going to this idea of how things move.
We are
westerly.
The original, as well as the Aeonic world island. America is it. America's the shit. Like people want to say that that's bad. That was not the bad part of America.
No, it is the new Atlantis. That's why they wrote it that way.
That's right. So everybody has to write it as the villain.
Yeah.
Because they can't understand it. They can't see its potential, and they know that it's at its core, it's going to be out for itself rather than 100% loyal to the greater wheel turning.
Which is then why
part of what Europe wants.
Yes.
It wants to keep us in that Saturnian like bathhouse forever and ever and ever and ever.
Because the tyrant king in the metaphor, which is also experienced allegorically and embodied phenomenologically, is that exact thing that we're talking about, is the holding on too long and not realizing that's why the child, or moving into the Aeon of the daughter, is trying to then stand upon, that's the metaphor of sitting upon Yesod or the moon, is taking itself away from everything it once knew. And I think it also encapsulates all of those things from its past. Let's go of hopefully the reconciliation back into the merger of the East.
Just like what Yesod is supposed to do. Yeah. It's supposed to contain the fire, earth, air, and water, and space, five elements, all five. You're supposed to reconcile that in your own mind.
And that's the 5 = 6 degree. Like that's the 5, how 5 = 6, the macrocosm and the and then
we're going to Tiferet. We're going to resolve that Yesod, and then we're going to go to Tiferet using what? Well, you can say an arrow, you can say a chariot, you can say
whatever your metaphor is.
you can say love. There are 17 different ways to translate this one Sanskrit word, which I'm very fascinated by. It's called Vultra Vega, which means the adamantine, but it can be translated 17 ways, as I'm saying.
Vultra Vega?
Yeah, it can also mean a sword. It can mean various things, a
I like that.
spear, various things. So it's really the idea of like the upward movement through the path. So that is really what, that is really the whole point is that, yeah, Mystic Mama, of course,
Yeah,
there is. All
of course.
magic is alchemy. All
That is
magic can be reduced down to alchemy very simply.
it's magic and
Very, very
mysticism
simple.
they're synonymous.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So what are we doing with our phones? What are we doing with social media?
yeah,
Like, are we just like LARPing? Are we just having fun? Like
no,
what? There's so many different things to do.
yeah.
It's like where do you apply yourself? Where do you apply your will? Where do you like want to be? Like who do you want to be around? Who do you think is a generative person? Who do you think is the best Kabbalist? Other than
Other than us,
other than us or whomever.
Yeah,
I know at least 10 that are really good. I'm just being honest. I'm being
yeah, of
fair.
course. Yeah,
Of course, I love to say that.
yeah,
I
of
love to
course.
say that.
Well, it's
I
pretty well
am
fair.
really good. Like, I'm not saying I'm not good. Like, nobody take this as like saying like I'm not good. I'm good. I know I'm good. The problem is, no, the thing is like when I say that, I think people misunderstand and mean like he thinks he's the best. No, I don't think I'm the best.
Oh no, of course not. We've checked our life has checked my ego way too much to think I'm the best.
That's 100% true. Like, I think I'm a retard most of the time.
Yeah, retard maxing.
I mean, it's an unfortunate reality. It's like I feel lost a lot of the time. I feel like I'm drifting, like aimless in this carnal ground. Like I really do. I'm being like vulnerable and honest
Nice.
and sincere. But that's what so I have to like orient myself to like what I'm gonna do as a project. So this actually goes back to our original topic of paradigms and like the occult trends. So we described chaos magic, we described Wicca. Wicca had many permutations. People retconned Wicca into this thing that it wasn't. Was Wicca like this grand system? No, it wasn't like that great. And that's why people didn't really stay with it. And the thing with pagans is like, but the other thing is that the Wicca sort of had the lineage. They kind of had the OTO
stemming from OTO, Crowley, Golden Dawn,
and they did. So they kind of had it. And the problem is like if you were really paying attention to what that, as a speculative anthropologist, if you were really paying attention to what those communities were doing, it was really a lot of infighting with people who were considering themselves heathen. So we're seeing like a rise of this again to this day online, and between the Wiccans. This was a big part of it.
Yeah, we're not conformists. We're heathens. I'm my own thing.
They have to be together, right? That's the whole thing. They have to be like in consensus reality together. That's the whole point. And like the Wiccans were literally like, they were a bunch of LARPy retards too.
Yeah.
Like it was so much bullshit. Anyways, I'm not even a hater. I'm really not a hater. And I've met people who are like actual witches, and like, they are witches. But like I'm a sorcerer, baby, so I ain't scared either. So that's all I'm saying. But anyways,
because you can't. The thing is it goes back to the psionic. You can't beat me with your own mind game on reality. Like your willpower. I don't know.
I know some really good K-ball players. So as I said, there are ways. If you know someone's vulnerabilities, you can sort of act as an op for them. If you,
of course, if you know how to be a fucking 3-lettered agency. But then don't play that game. I got these tools back here. I don't want to have. I'll crush. I'll fucking crush.
Okay, Brandon. I don't really need like agency scions like on my ass extra.
No, of course not. But bro, here we are together. So you're shit out of luck there. Yeah.
Well, all I will say is that I've seen the rise of many different kinds of occult paradigms and trends, including Afrosyncretic religion, hoodoo, Bible magic. That was so popular in the 2000s. People have no fucking idea. Everybody and their sister was getting a Santeria initiation, a Kimbanda initiation, doing a hoodoo like mail order course. Voodoo was really popular. Voodoo was actually kind of pre-popular, and then I saw a sudden shift. I saw like a radical, very like distinctive shift away from those kinds of like things that could be described as having a nebulous morality, like sometimes good, sometimes bad, always dualistic, but like it's very island jungle kind of magic, and it's kind of island jungle kind of thinking.
Yeah.
Right. But then I saw a shift definitely into Muertismo and Santa Muerte and these left-hand path saints. And that's honestly like it's pretty close to, not quite what I was like really into for like 10 years. I was never like full on one thing, but I was definitely a left-hand path Catholic. That's how I thought of myself. I think I talked about this before. But anyways, so that was an occult trend, and then there was like a thing where we was reappraising Agrippa. So I was obviously part of that, and I was never really into the like Afrosyncretic thing, other than as a chaos magic approach to like herbs, and also like foot track magic. I think is really great. I think dirt magic is really cool as a technology. I think that there's like all these interesting things that like can be gleaned from it that you can utilize. And it's also like the Bible magic with the herbs. There's kind of something really interesting for me about that. Sort of linking the Kabbalah of this like very naturalistic worldview with this much more textual worldview, like the Netzach to the Banah. I think that there's something cool that happens in synthesis in between, like in hoodoo and some of these like more American expressions of it. Obviously, when you're getting into Santeria and like the colors and the Orisha and all of that, you can both gain and lose meaning. Meaning that sometimes things will take on very traditional meaning that has nothing to do with like anyone's perception outside the system. But then sometimes that can also be corrupted knowledge. So it maybe like should actually refer back to something. It's not just like a interesting way to look at the Sephira or look at the tree or look at it. Just is like some person like misunderstood. So that is also the problem with some of like the historicity of a lot of these quote unquote old traditions. And this also refers back to like what paganism is, and it's all a reconstruction. And I'm not saying that it's all bad. Look, Tantra is exactly the same. There was 17th century reformations that, broke away cycles and took away texts, reduced texts down to their, root form, and like some texts were discarded. And it's always been a constant zimzum. It's a constant process of like bringing the material back together and then also discarding what doesn't no longer works, because there are differences in like what is efficacious in certain aeons.
Well, isn't it crazy how we're seeing so much paganism, like this wild level of paganism revival in this day and age?
I mean, look, I live in a place where there's a lot of them, like tons. I'm not going to say exactly who around me is like that, but I will say like it surprised me as someone who was raised in like a very kind of like, I was raised in kind of a bubble, I guess you could say. Like I just didn't know.
I was too, yeah.
That like we went to church like 3 times a week. Like it was not, my life was very much like, even when I was like into Agrippa and left-handed path Catholicism, like you have to go to church 5 times a day, like not 5 times a day, 5 times a week to like maintain your ritual purity. That's the idea, right?
Yeah.
So I was really into following that for a while. So the whole thing is like, I guess you follow the path and you try and reconcile it as you go. But if you have a particular direction, like I said, I was left-hand path, and I still am left-hand path, but I'm not oriented to one path or the other. And
that goes back to when we're trying to, why we talked about Aristotle and his syllogism before, is because of once you start saying I am left-hand path, you are locking yourself within a framework that comes with a lot of baggage. And that's why I have so much trouble this day and age with the occult.
I have as much problems with the right. I have as much problems. I'm just going to be honest. I have as much problems with the right-hand path people, as we've discussed many times on the show.
That's my point, is that right-hand pathers are just actually, but David Beth even agreed. He said it the exact one of the same things as you and I were talking about. And he's all like, people who claim to be right-hand pathers actually just secretly want to do dark magic all the time. They want to do black, like left-hand path stuff. They're like, and they are. And then they are. And that's what then I said. I was like, me and my buddy Jin, we talk about this all the time, how then they are with their coursework and teaching people herb magic and all these crazy things.
They all know so much about the Goesha, and then they'll be like, oh, those aren't demons. Well, I'm not saying they're demons. I'm obviously a non-dualist nigga.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Anyways, that's fine. Naga. I said Naga.
He said Naga.
So non-dualism. I don't think of them as demons in like a Christian way or a Manichaean way. Obviously, But
Yeah.
don't try and lie to me and be like, oh, these are just like spirits that are like, there are no implication for any. I've read Agrippa. There is an implication
There's
that they
super
come from the
implication.
underworld. Like, duh. Does the word duh mean anything to you?
That's I just read fucking was it Visconti, that fucking dumbass that I can't like, or somebody in his spheres, somebody just did a video on it. I can't remember what it was, but they were talking about how it was Visconti. I read one of his things and I was all like, I can't believe you are so gay to say this. Is that it's like back in the day when we used to bind demons into, that's just a really thinking that everything is so bad and negative. It's that they like have evil intent. So why do we have to do that? That's an old like colonial way of thinking and viewing these things. Like we don't have to see them as all bad and
Please
evil.
don't bring him up. I can't even with that. He's left-hand path.
It's a fucking. It's so.
He says he's left-hand path.
So crazy.
Marco Visconti.
Yeah.
He says he's left-hand path.
Well, he likes Crowley and these things, and even though Crowley,
but he says he's left-hand path.
Does he? I've never heard him say that. Okay, yeah. Crowley's not left-hand path. I just want everybody to know Crowley despises black magic. He obviously does both path works. He's a middle path worker.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Crowley is not a middle path worker. Your great work is how you live your life.
It is.
I'm not saying you have to be shamanic. I've never said that, and I never would say that. You don't have to be an ascetic. That's a life choice, right?
You're right. That was ridiculous. I never meant to say he was a right-hand pather, but
he lived his life on the left-hand path.
He lived his life, yes, but that's not black magic. I get that's my point.
Well,
no.
I don't really agree.
Have you read magic?
Have you? I don't really agree with the idea that there is white. I think it's all gray. I do not beyond good and evil.
That's fine. There's something to that, but there definitely is dark magic, evil shit that the fucking parasitic oligarchic baby eating class is doing with their Jay-Z's.
Okay, everybody, we've already established this. We live in a Magian society. There's a lot of sorcerers on this carnal ground.
There are.
That is all our consensus reality.
No.
Okay,
Abramovich is a fucking evil.
Well, it's not about names or people. Everyone can be. That's the psionic time. That's the psionic aeon. You want to say that everybody can cultivate their own fucking consciousness, and that's what they should be doing.
And then they have their own karma to
celebrities
deal with.
Or baby eating like elites. Like, you know what? I'm not trying to be mean and I'm not trying to be crude. People have been doing fucked up shit for like
forever.
Since the very dawn.
Follow Dr. Heather Lynn in her Substack, and she's been writing about she's been crushing it out this island, off this world about like the past of these of a lot of this like ritual.
Well, the reality is it doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter. Live your own live the path working by example.
Yeah, I agree.
Like if I'm saying middle path, obviously then the whole idea is that I will live a middle path life. That means that sometimes I have a transgressive thing. Sometimes I will have a more shamanic idea.
Yeah. And what's funny is I like the idea of gray Jedi, even though I know it's not part of how that works.
But
so
I think I would say that there's a secret third thing where they're moving into it. Well, the
Qui-Gon Jinn was deemed a gray Jedi who walked the line. And so there are things, and I get that.
No, the dualism creates the dualism.
It does. And so
there's no reason why the Jedi could not learn Sith lightning.
And
just
because
the Sith fueled it by anger. Brandon, you're getting me on this topic. I got really heated. I've never even talked about this live. Nobody knows what a closet like
Star Wars.
It's bad. Anyways,
but the braided guy, he was a great Jedi. He was like he wasn't Jamaican. He had the dreads and supposedly walked the line and was like a gray Jedi using Sith. Mace Windu with his blue. He used a certain kind of lightsaber form that was a Sith lightsaber form.
Well, look, I believe in only gray Jedi. I think that no, I'm serious. I think that we should not take sides in the I think a chimeric being, like I'm saying, we're all Hyperborean, right?
Right.
We're all here on the New World Island right now. We're here right now. So what are we? Aren't we dragons? Aren't we reflections of the chimera?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's okay. Yes. I accept that. Good and evil.
Yeah.
I accept that. We have those dualities, those polarities within us.
Yep.
So I'm not going to judge it, but we're going to we have to go with the Aeon. We have to move the ship, right?
It's true, and
So
I completely agree. I've taken far too many entheogens to say I'm walking the right path.
right. So exactly,
Yeah,
Brandon.
yeah,
So
I
that's the
agree.
reality. So we don't. I try not to judge other people.
And I like this
I
too.
really
And
try. I'm not
Constantine,
perfect.
Constantine is a perfect example of somebody who's
True
all like,
neutral.
true,
True
yeah. And I
neutral.
fucking love Constantine.
That is what we should be striving for. The middle position is not what people think it is.
No,
People think the middle position is something to do with like being a moderate. It's not. It's about being temperate in your own mind. And it also doesn't really exist. The middle path doesn't really exist. It's a positionless position. It just means that you're not going to the extremes either.
yeah.
So if you want to call it moderation or centrism, I guess that's what people will want to call it. There's a truth to that too, though. So, it is what it is. I just think that we should look at the world as less Manichaean, less within the polarities.
Completely, because
What
that's the
creates
trap.
black
That's the trap.
magic and what creates white magic? There is a theory that the thinking that you must have like a white magic will inherently necessitate, if you practice Kabbalah, you will understand exactly what I'm talking about. The dipolarities. There you go,
There you
Constantine,
go.
one of my faves.
Yeah.
If you create the dipolarities in your mind, if you go to one extreme on the tree, you create the other, like the Aristotelian thing.
Yeah, no, I do completely agree with that, and so that's
God is supposed to exist in the pristine clarity, right? Gray is not a pristine clarity. What is gray, you might ask? Gray is also part of the aether wave. That is the air color in a secret tantric way. Gray. It's the color of the Aramon, the color of the smoky tail of the dragon, the Ketu, the things that eats the moon. What is the moon? Yesod, which is also our mind.
Yep. Which is, yeah, I love that.
You can't let delusion clear obscure our minds.
It's true.
But you also are going to utilize the potential of Ketu, which he has a lot of potential. So what is part of his potential? It's part of the decoherence. Everything is liberated into smoke. We only have little shards of the original primordial truth, the original primordial words. So we have to make up a system that is actually forged in both of the ideals of Hesed and Gevra, resolved at the moon, and able to take us past Tiferet. So it has to fulfill certain.
In my mind, that looks like the universal hexagram. Actually, how you were
it is
right. Instead of it looking like like that's a great inversion of why then Crowley was talking about the movements of the Aeons.
Right.
How important it is to take these symbols and have them exactly.
Self-combusting star.
The macrocosm.
I've always talked about for for Skywives, they explode as a star ruby.
Yeah.
Self-combust. That's exactly how it's visualized. That's exactly how it's visualized in Crowley.
Yeah, and that the star ruby, yes, exactly. Which is then another image of the philosopher's
stone. Which is the gemstone of Surya in Jyotisha. The star ruby is the tantric gemstone of the sun. So what is it really talking about? It's talking about how the sun is a star. People treat it as a fixed planet, but it's actually a little more powerful than the planets. And the moon is as well, because the moon probably originally came from Earth. That's
part of it.
That's that myth. Yes, they're probably
that's
I'm not seeing a myth in
Marduk and Tiamat. Their fighting was then something. I agree. No, I'm agreeing with you. Something happened where and then this became a satellite. The moon. Joseph Farrell talks about
part of Earth, right?
And it's still part of Earth.
Yeah, there's a part of the moon that's actually more powerful than the planets as well.
I like that.
So the sun and the moon together are more powerful. It's actually the three.
Well, that would only
think of it in a really interesting way: the sun, the moon, and the earth.
And that is the straight line of the middle pillar, and then everything else is that offshoot.
Dath is also there,
and Dath
is also there.
Yes, straight. Yeah.
So how do we want to move through the Aeon? And it's also 5, which is the tantric number for the number of chakras that we actually have. I know some people prefer a 7 chakra system. That's fine. Some people prefer a 9 chakra system. That's fine. I'm just saying that the sort of the older material refers back to this 5. Energy system. And I think that it's not just about the energy system in our bodies. I think it's talking about Kabbalah. I think it's talking also about the planets. I think it's like a map. I think it's an esoteric cartography, as you know.
Yes, that's exactly Which everyone's fighting that French woman now because she trademarked it. So there's again occult trends to go back from the beautiful to what we were just talking about, to these strange occult trends, I think it's good to understand the models of reality and the narratives that are going on, so you don't fall into a trend, and you don't consider yourself something more than you are and something less than you're not. And I think it's both ways when we fall into the trendiness of occult paradigms and magical worldviews. It's easy to fall away into levels of abstraction instead of finding
there's certificate chasing, right?
Yes, they
You
are.
know, it's about like, oh, I want to like try this or try this or try this. And then you see all these other magicians doing X, Y, and Z thing.
Yeah.
And so you go and you are like, I want to do it like this. And that's fine. I have no problem with that. Like you have to, like, the Marga has to unfold before you. I've said this so many times. But I also think that there's an idea that you can chase trends. Like I had a real interest in like voodoo and like hoodoo for a while, and I learned as much as I could, honestly. I learned probably as much as like anyone who's active in that system, but not voodoo, but hoodoo definitely. I could like easily answer pretty much any
I guess that
question,
makes sense
honestly.
because the French thing, huh?
I don't know. I just read everything I could. I tried to map the plants onto the tree. I was really good at the Solomonic Pentacles. It made a lot of sense to me as like an amendment to the system, but not necessarily as a system on its own.
Yeah.
That's how I always thought of it. But I just became like conversant in its grammar. That's all. And so I think that, but I think that there was a moment where I would have been like, oh, I want to go do voodoo, or I want to like do those like I want to work with those spirits, because I know my like law, I know my law on that tat. Like I know what spirit rules my head.
Yeah, nice. I would never feel that way.
Oh no, I didn't. I got it done. Someone reads like shells for you, and like, you go get your hair washed, basically. Or your like
Crazy.
face, your like body, your head washed.
That's
Love
crazy.
tat. Anyways, so basically they were like, and I was like, should I pursue it? And like the reading said no. And like, but I don't really care about those things in general. Like, I mean, I do care about those things, but at that time I would have been more like I could have easily gone a different direction. So I was like, there was a moment where, what I'm trying to say is there was a moment where I thought about it, and I was like seriously considering it, and then I was like, you know what, I'm not going to. I'm actually gonna like try and like see what I can like, because I wasn't really happy. That's the truth. I wasn't really fulfilled in a religious or spiritual way by left-handed path Catholicism. And even though I was like, okay, I'm not going to do voodoo and maybe I'll go more left-hand path saints, which is what I ended up doing, I didn't feel fulfilled at any time. I felt like actually it was like a very Klopothic experience. I've said this before too.
Yeah.
I find it like a very gradient experience, like not, it was like moving through the hardest densities, very Saturnian in a way.
Yeah.
Moving through the hardest densities, trying to do magic, trying to balance this. And my home life was just like completely in chaos all the time.
Yeah.
And I think it probably one contributed to the other, right?
Definitely.
So, and which is exactly what happens. So I just was like, you know what? I need to, I talked about this on my episode with Scott Ladati. People can check that out. But I said like, I had what I considered to be like a Buddhist deity. He came and he sat on the end of my bed and he's like, put the magic shit away. That was literally what he said. Put all the magic shit away. So that was like it was either 2018 or 2019. I can't remember, but it was like right before COVID, like a year and a half before COVID, maybe. Okay. So by the time COVID came around, I wasn't necessarily less wild, but I had like a stability in practice. So that's what kept me, to be honest, it kept me alive.
Kept me alive. Yeah. Especially in those times.
So that's why I still like Tantra. That's why I still will fuck with Adriana. That's why I still will say that, because it always provided me a place of refuge when I was really struggling.
That makes
like life or death, like for real.
Yeah, no, that only makes sense, because those things are what imprints onto our nervous system in the most in those vulnerable states, that if we feel it's actually a very heavenly or a saving kind of grace, then we see how it can help put our life back together, at least give it stability, you know. And as it goes to the things about these magical trends and these paradigms that people live in, is if you're still going out and your life is in shambles and ruin, and then your magic, I get that we go through dark nights of the soul and we've all gone through it, but there's this level of, if eventually your body isn't reflecting your inner practice, and then your body experience with the world seeing a recapitulation from the blackening, right, from the negredo or the darks, the black sun type of experience. You need, because you must transition forth from that in the alchemical process to the whitening, to the purifying process of you're starting to see things coagulate back together from the dissolution. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of these trends are keeping people in the longhouse and the bathhouse and these older traditions that are keeping us in a stranglehold. And as well, it's not allowing us to burn away the things that aren't suiting us. It's actually allowing us to attach to them, and they become identities instead of something that is allowing us to actually be authentic in the not being able to find the I. Right. I
don't know what authentic is, but
I know you and Kaiva both actually have issues with me saying that term, and I can feel it every time. And I don't have to get into it. But because I don't know if it's the Buddhist thing or what it is, but I don't have fixed self. And so I get that. And I'm speaking from the terms of, we all know what it means when you tap into.
I totally get that. But once it's really hard, Brandon. Like, I'm not trying to run defense for it, but it is hard once you've accepted that as a reality. And Kaiva practices Buddhism really hardcore. I practice Buddhism really hardcore. That's the truth.
Yeah, it is.
That's the truth.
Oh yeah.
I sit there for 2.5 hours at least. And I do my recitations, and I do puja, I do all the things.
Yeah.
I take it really fucking seriously. So when someone, when I have to go and be discursive about it, and someone is not you, and it's not about even the word you said. But I really sincerely do not believe we have a fixed self. That is my experience.
Yeah. And I agree. And I do agree with that once we get through the different identifiers, especially because of my training in the Western philosophical tradition, which is then the existential position of what it means to try to live an authentic life with agency. And so that's, again, another way to color these things into finding your way through what I would consider Buddhism teaches in this is no fixed self, which I completely agree with, because it's the idea of that Zen parable that Robert Anton Wilson that I always quote. It's who is the master who makes the grass green? It's same as ideas if I'm, what happens when you're going through the doors of your consciousness and you're trying to find the I, the person who speaks, the one who is thinking. You will continue to open doors.
That's why we try and reconcile and yes it. That's why we try and bring it back to the moon.
Yeah.
That's why we use the Aeonic colors. The pink, that is the contour to the truth. Pink doesn't exist. Pink is the color of Diamond Thunder.
What's beautiful is how seamlessly you move in between East meets West. You know what I mean? And that's what I love about our conversations is that we're not fixing ourselves to the ideology of staying inside the Eastern
Kabbalah
system.
Is amazing. Kabbalah is amazing. Yes. K-ball is amazing. And I'm great at K-ball. I'm a professional K-ball player. I might not be the best in the league, but I'm a professional K-ball player. Okay? Yeah. I love Tantra. My heart is in Vajrayana. I love Vajrayana. And I actually really love chaos magic. I'm just going to be honest. I really do. I think that, come on, Brandon, you and I are close to the same age. Are you saying you cannot, in your mind, visualize the Ninja Turtles as the 4 archangels? It would make so much fucking sense. Even the colors.
I know. You got me every time. No, you're right. No, I have, and I do. And I do. And
now it comes out. Now it comes out. There you go.
I know. And my awakening was with Robert Anton Wilson in his Illuminatus trilogy with Discordianism.
You told me this, and I was like, how can this kid, now that you're a kid, you're older than me, but how can you ride on so much hate for
you know how? I'm going to tell you exactly how. I lived in Boulder, Colorado. I have seen the dregs of the New Age, and I witnessed some of the retards that go on, the occult rejects who have written these books, and they are offshoots of panpsychism and this idea of the postmodern understanding of practical magic.
Dude, I have problems with them too. Okay,
I know you do. So thank you for helping balance me out because you're right. Because Discordianism and the Principia Discordia, which is this.
But that really comes from it really comes from Austin
Osman Spare, and that's the chaos magic. And I obviously, when I was practicing and training in the early years, as I'm reading Crowley and doing this thing, Grant Morrison and The Invisibles, right? So as much as I hate on chaos magic, Grant Morrison and The Invisibles, along with obviously Alan Moore, and so that's how I have this 2 different sides, is because I'm as schizophrenic as the rest of them. is the fuck, man. Like the Invisibles is still one of my mainstays on this great hyper sigil of the transformation of consciousness, and the same theories I use to this very day to try to understand my place in all
like
of
how I
this.
use Sailor Moon or
It's
Kabbalah
the exact
or whatever
same.
it
It's the
is, or the
exact same way.
Mahavijja
Yes.
or like there's so many other, like the Gnostic, that we were talking about the Gnostic. We started the show talking about the Gnostic framework. It's about the narrative. It's like I try and do generative narratives. I know you try and talk about like generative shows, like manga shows. Like I don't have the same anime taste as you know, but I think that look, art doesn't have to be happy. It doesn't have to be anything.
No.
But I think that there should be something that is a hermeneutic. I think that a good art is actually a hermeneutic. I think that brings us through the gateways of perception. And I think that
it's a translation of reality. It is the hermeneutic of ontology.
Correct.
Nice.
Correct. It's the gateway, the threshold.
Yeah.
Right. So I agree. I think that those are the stories that stay with humanity. What are our myths? What are our neo-myths?
That
right.
That's exactly it. And so you're right. And that's why I see the importance of it. And exactly why I think people that I respect. So I'm dropping Angel Miller's conversation I just had with him probably in the next few days.
Oh, good. I'm glad I didn't say anything bad.
And no, he's fantastic. And he agrees with us on this.
I'm saying I'm glad I didn't say anything bad about 10 minutes ago.
Oh, about 10 minutes ago. Yeah, because maybe you would have. But I like him. And so I like the books that he's come up with. I like his style of things. And so with him and Peter Gray, as well as Alan Chapman, I'm interviewing Alan Chapman tomorrow. Interesting enough, and I'm really excited because a lot of these guys had stemmed through all the chaos magic stuff in the early 90s, in the late 80s. They're a little older than we are.
Well, and Angel talked about his time in the Coast, right?
Yeah, exactly. And Alan Chapman was in that as well.
He was really disillusioned by it.
Oh yeah, because he was talking to me about the ice, because he was there during the Ice Wars, and that was all happening at the same time as the Persian Gulf War and the Satanic Panic. And so he's watching all these things. He was friends with.
Tracy was part of this too.
Yep, exactly.
Tracy Swyman was all part of this too.
And so
a little later, but just like almost at the same time, like definitely part. Like you had the knowledge. That's what she was really. She was an occult cartographer.
She was,
meaning that she mapped out the sort of parapolitical and the occult. But this is not like the normie material that she was sort of going on shows and talking about. This was kind of the hidden layer of her work. But yeah, I agree that all reality is malleable to a degree. It does not mean we live in simulation. Simulation is so low IQ, so fucking third world. I would spit on the grave of simulation theory if I could.
I think it's third world as well. It's a good allegory, but
it's a good. It's
I like the Matrix. I can't help it. I like,
but the Matrix can lead you to the wrong conclusion too, because the truth is gnosis is non-dual. Right? Yeah. I'm saying, it's a synthesis between Binah and Hokmah. Just like Saturn and Neptune have that relationship that kind of destroy and create each other. Saturn's gravity draws the smoke of Neptune into density, and
but you have to know
nature of Neptune draws the matter of Saturn away from density.
Beautiful. And I agree, but you have to live the dualism. So you reject it.
You don't reject that dualism exists. You acknowledge that it exists, but then you realize that in order to form Dath, if Dath is really your way out, okay, let's say we're positing Dath as the way out, Pluto is the way out. Well, how do you get to Pluto if those are dipolar? You can't. You can't get to Dath if those are dipolar, if you're going on to the extreme. But you can get to Dath through where? Through Yesod.
Yeah.
Through the silver threshold, the silver gateway.
Yeah, the magical.
That's how you have to go, through the middle pillar.
Yeah.
The sin. Like someone typed this in the chat. I want to bring this up.
I got it. It's right here.
Sin is the Canadian for moon and synchronicity.
Yep.
Yeah. Sin was the god of the. Yeah, he was the god of the secret moon. He was the god. He was Shiva, god of the mind, secret knowledge. That's really what it is.
Also known as Nana.
Well, I don't know about that, but I know about the sin thing from the king of Urk, whatever he was, king of Ur, and he rebuilt the ancient city.
Yeah,
and he was a worshiper of sin, and
sin was the father of the sun.
Correct.
Yeah.
Is just like he is in the Puranas, right? Shiva is the father of all creation.
Yeah.
Shiva is the prime father figure in the Puranas. People maybe don't know that, but Shiva is the prime father. But what is Shiva? He's also the mind. Well, that goes along with what we were saying about the narrative containers being sort of the tools of reality. Like that is the formation of Maya. That is the formation of reality. Absolutely. And someone else had a really great comment. I had meant to bring this up.
Yeah.
Brandon, sorry, before. It's not wishy-washy, more like the virtually invisible, straight and narrow, and that way gray. Well, I would posit that it's not straight and narrow. Anything in the gray is going to be wayward because you can't see necessarily the path. You have to
This one?
as you
No.
go. No, it's
right there, right there,
mind,
right there.
mind. Yeah, like what is straight and narrow? Like it's hard to see, right? Hard to discern, but maybe you can send your arrow out. Maybe your arrow is what travels through space. What is the arrow? Well, if you use my Aeonic framework, the arrow is also love or loving kindness.
It makes sense
But it's
because of
also
arrows.
discernment,
Arrows
right?
with the arrow.
Correct. But it's the higher love than that.
Yeah.
It's like the more empty love. So I think
Well,
that,
it's divine madness.
well,
Is it? Can
I
you get
wouldn't say
higher than that?
divine madness.
Because that's what's the platonic arrows. I'm sorry.
Yeah, platonic arrow. I like that better.
Yeah.
Platonic arrow. I think that's what travels through space and time.
Yeah.
Beyond space and time.
Yeah.
So beyond Hokmah and Binah. Right? That's what will take us outside. That will take us to death.
And this is a good one
That's
too.
what will also bring that's if you bring love to death. Because love is the cause of knowledge. Love will lead you to death.
Yeah, and it could
then you can reconcile a lot of the things there.
And that could be what Alan Moore talked about with, because in there, if it's interesting enough, and I don't know if you succumb to this, but the invisible Sephirah, right? Doth, the 11th Sephirah, and I know, and so just follow me here, is in Promethea, as Sophia is climbing up the tree so she can, merge with Babylon and and Mary, and she can merge with Promethea herself in Binah, and then climb the trail up so she can come back down and emetize the escation. She walks by Doth and on this pathway and sees that there used to be a Sephirah there, and it looked like it said the fountain. And I find that really interesting. He doesn't move on to talk about it any more than that. And so I always wondered this idea of the 11th of the fountain.
The 11th doesn't really exist.
I know.
The 11th is the temperance card. That's what it's talking about. The fountain.
Yeah. Oh,
it's just a metaphor for the temperance card. It's
like
the angel on the moon.
Right. That makes sense.
Moon, because if you look at a temperance card, the angel has 1 foot in the water and 1 foot on the primordial ground. Yeah. The blue and the green together.
Shout out Judith, the rejects. She says a lot of amazing stuff. We love Judith.
Yeah, Judith is really
Judith
insightful.
Is super insightful. She's a boss.
She says things. She really thinks about the things that she says.
And she's a badass.
Very insightful. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. No, I do agree with that. That's fascinating.
No, I think, look, the magicians get it. Even Peter Carroll got it. That's why we're reading Apophenion, because I think it's Aeonic, and I think that it's an interesting way to sort of interpret reality, and also his other work.
Well, it was needed in its time, and I will give it that.
Apophenions not old though. It's 2014.
That was his new one, huh?
Well, it was not. It was like not old.
I didn't read that one.
Yeah, no one did, except like me, because I was like wanting to choose something different. But anyways, I think the point is like a lot of these old guys, these old true magicians, they knew. They know. Like the people get it. People have read Crowley. They've all read Crowley. They know that the Aeon is moving. Yeah. Now, are there assumptions? They're not young Jinskis, okay? Like they're not K-ball player of like my magnitude. Maybe. So maybe their Aeonic framework is wrong. And that's what I have always posited since I came online, is that I think that mine is better. I'm not saying mine is totally complete. I just think mine is better. And I think that placing the Aeons on the path, again, makes the most sense. Because we're there, right? So what again, they arise in our perception. So I would rather them be on the path than in the Sephirah. Because in the Sephirah, they're kind of like purely conceptual.
Yeah, it needs to be
on the path, they're
concrete.
Pragmatic.
They're pragmatic,
yes,
and
exactly.
No, I agree, and it's those things that are the straight embodiment of those forces. It's almost like, interesting enough, like the aether workings that they went through.
Correct. Correct. And so that is the whole point of me about the gray. It's like it's not the straight and narrow, it's the path of the two-headed arrow. That's how you have to think of it. But that is also, you can say that that is also the path of the dragon and the path of the lightning flash, both at the same time.
Oh yeah.
It's not to climb up the tree is to climb down because you come down.
Yeah, and the tree's not a two-dimensional thing.
Correct.
It's not even three-dimensional. It's
Correct.
Yeah, that's
It's five-dimensional.
yeah. It's got many
Right? It
different.
exists in space. It exists in the perception of the elements. It exists in your own mind. So that's at least the root or the foundation of the tree, right? And then where it becomes and where it goes is based on wisdom science. Like I believe that there's a truth in deeper wisdom science,
Of course.
absolutely.
Of course.
But we can't be bound necessarily by the assumptions that the traditional systems make. But I am a big fan, obviously, of medieval Cabal as well as post-Lurianic Cabal.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So, you know, I kind of like, I'm about the syncretism. I'll just be honest. I like syncretism. I
do
think
too.
Dharma is very syncretic. I think Buddhism is very capable, like, you know, like Kaiva practices astrology. And she would say that it's very dharmic as well. And I agree. Like traditionally, and like, if you want to talk about like the real traditional Dharma, like in Nepal and like whatever, in like the first century, there would be tons of astrologers. That would be a big part of what Dharma is. But there's also a part of, and this is not in reference to Kaiva at all, but there's also a problem with astrologers where people get too fixated, too far gone.
Yeah, and she's as
the stars.
Yeah,
right?
no, and she's as pragmatic as it comes. It is concrete, and she's got it mapped out, and she separates it from her Buddhist practice. Actually, and that's how I think how she can be such a good astrologer is because she compartmentalizes these things. But it's not compartmentalized at all. She's living it. She plays her lyre to the stars and then goes and chants for hours.
Well, that's the whole thing is like
she's amazing. She's amazing.
I mean, that's what I'm trying to say though, is that like you have to have a praxis. You have to have a daily praxis. And like the daily praxis, as I posit it, I'm not saying that it's the best magic in the world. And I'm saying you never need ritual ever.
Yeah.
But I do think that
you can't help but to have ritual.
Correct. I would say that that's more true. So I agree with you in this instance more.
Yeah.
The most.
Yeah.
But and I often agree with you. So that's wasn't like a thing. I wasn't saying that.
Yeah. We talk for 3 hours knowing that we agree on most of these things.
Exactly. So the reality is like, yeah, I think that that's true. But I also think like you have to be rooted in your praxis, and your praxis actually should be able to take you into magical experiences, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
Like I think that's your primary foundational way.
Yeah.
You know, like I come at it from a Buddhist Mahayoga perspective now. I dealt with a lot of spirits though, Brandon. Like people like give me a lot of shit for like my anti-supernaturalism, but I'm not an anti-supernaturalist. I'm the most supernaturalist person like you've ever met.
Well, the problem with the supernaturalism from me, and why I don't like the panpsychism thing, is because it makes it all either psychological when it's not. It's a pandemonic experience. It's an actual embodied experience. These things are real. They're all around us at all times.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
I would say that. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm misunderstanding panpsychism, but for me, panpsychism does cover that. I would also reject the psychological, the heavily psychological approach, but I think that's why you should read Epiphanion, because I think that goes into great detail on why he rejects that sort of as the sole extant model of the universe.
My problem with panpsychism is that it makes consciousness a thing instead of understanding that it is the relation. Yeah, so that's where and maybe he just doesn't understand panpsychism and how it's termed to this day and how they.
Well, I mean, there are different ways to understand the tree, right? Like, what is Hesed the finality of the tree? No, the infinity of the tree, though. Yeah, it is the primary self.
Well, because it takes 4 to create the rest of everything else. It is the 3 equals 1 to 4.
Correct. Yeah, and it is the way we move forward in the Aeon.
Everyone should read.
Half of Uranus is Mars. Half of Uranus is Jupiter. It's a formation of both components. That's the whole thing. Yeah. So you can reduce the outer 3 or the supernal triad. You can actually reduce it down to closer to our world.
I think that's really important.
Hesed, and Gebra.
And that's the problem with our modern day occultists who are in these fucking lodges and these different things, who are playing around with Kabbalah, and why they think they're better than everyone else is because of they don't understand that their problem is abstraction and badge getting. And so it's like I don't find there to be a point in the abstracting the tree so much where you don't understand it's a lived experience. That is the God mad working of seeing God in all things. And so
they don't want to admit it. It's not that they don't know. They know. There are, and I'm not saying all of them. We've met you and I have roundtabled with enough.
Yeah.
Some of them are just like very normie and like don't really understand what magic really is. And then some people know exactly what magic is, and they want to go to great lengths to obfuscate it in these sort of systems that they use or that they promote, right? Especially if they sell a course on it.
So you're saying that magic isn't lecturing?
Magic's discursive. It happens like we're doing right now.
Yeah, that's
on the aether wave.
That's me being a jerk.
No, but I agree with you. I don't think selling a Zoom course on bullshit is like the.
Yeah, and I wonder how I would think about these things. And I was thinking about this the other day. Maybe I was mowing lawn. I don't know what I was doing. But the idea is I was thinking about what it would be different if these people started selling their own magic. You know what I mean? Making their own system instead of selling somebody else's. Then would I feel better about that?
I have no problem with them. I have no problem with them utilizing the system of their lodge that they like.
Of course.
Kind of pretend is like has some ancient lineage, but like you find out they're all founded in like the mid 2000s. Like I'm talking like 2010 or 2015. They're like, yeah, the most ancient lineage from Egypt, from Kemet, or whatever, Kemet to America. And then you find out it's like, yeah, you're not even part of the oldest lodge in like America. Yeah. You're part of like some like offshoot. Like maybe that's how it is. I don't know. Maybe that's like the, I call America as like perennially Mormon. Yeah, perennially Mormon.
Yeah,
it is in a way. It just is. It's like a magical religion with many offshoots, right? And like it sometimes it encounters like more traditional religion, and like revives those sort of esoteric systems like Catholicism. And sometimes it actually enters into weirder systems like evangelical Christianity, and it kind of introduces metaphysical ideas into that. Or maybe those sort of offshoots were already sort of like Mormon paused, if you want to say it like that. Yeah. Like they already had like the injection of that seed.
And thus, and we all are aware that Mormonism is stemming from then also Freemasonry.
Well, it's all one thing.
And it's all one thing. That's why it worked so well. And also
Book of Enoch.
And all those things as well. Integration, right? And so the Dead Sea Scrolls and all the workings of the Gnostics at that time.
Well, they didn't know. They didn't really. I don't think Smith knew.
No, he
Gnostic
didn't.
Scrolls,
but
right? They had Gnostic texts at his time, during his time.
Crowley thought that Joseph Smith was actually like brilliant. He's like, wow, this guy's doing this, and then
hated. The problem with the hate on the Mormons. The Mormons, a lot of the ideas of their religion are really low IQ. I'm just gonna say it.
No, they're super low IQ.
But the Joseph ideas are actually not cool. They're just really interesting and syncretic, and they're good Kabbalah at points, obviously.
And for some reason, they didn't follow the path of the egotist L. Ron Hubbard, who created Scientology based off of the
that's another magical religion, right?
It is.
So America is really the land of magical religions. That's the truth.
Yeah. The melting pot,
very chimeric, right?
We're
all trying to find the primordial religion in these new American formations. But what is the primordial tradition? Maybe the primordial tradition is more amorphous. Obviously, I would
changes names.
Correct, but I would say it's Dharma. The truth is the truth.
That's a great word.
Way.
And there are many vehicles to.
Correct. There are multiple yanas to get to the truth.
Yeah. Why then Buddhism is so great, right?
Right. Which is why Buddhism is also true. Anyways, we won't get into that. But yes,
Kaiba's got me brainwashed, bro. I'm like, I already had the integration of the embodiment of Kung Fu and all the Buddhism I know because of Taoism, Buddhism of Kung Fu. And so it's easy when a cute girl is like, just come chant with me. And then she is so well learned in it that she spars with me, and then I'm like, okay, I can buy that. That's actually, and then now you, between her and you, I'm basically a Buddhist.
Look, Dharma is evangelical religion.
Yeah. Oh,
We're
for
supposed to
sure.
proselytize.
You're
We're
supposed to
tell
proselytize.
people.
Yeah.
You know, there's a.
Yep.
Oh, people are gonna be so mad at me if I say this. I'll say it. Anyway, if you tell people that Dharma is real, it actually brings them into Dharma. That's a
I
very
like
tantric
that.
way to think.
Yeah. Because she's always wanting us to like have a bunch, like more people to chant. The more people who chant, and you know, her,
Yeah, the more
chant,
powerful it
the
is.
more powerful it is, and the more we can break, you know,
And the more minds are tamed, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we can all lead ourselves into enlightenment.
Correct.
Yeah, no, which is beautiful, and I really, you know, and I do use that. You know, it's,
Yeah, you have to treat Buddhism as a magical. Like this is where you have to treat it like a magical religion. It's not just. I fell into the trap too of thinking it was kind of normie for a while. Like when I first started Twitter, I knew it wasn't normie. I knew it was total sorcery, like total magic. I played it down though.
It's hard not to when there's so many normgroids using it.
Well, that's the whole thing now, right? Like we're talking
That's
about
the
occult trends
yeah.
and paradigm. Vajrayana is super fucking hot right now on Twitter.
Oh yeah,
that's the hot religion: shamanism, Asatru, and Vajrayana. And Vajrayana has always been perennially popular on Twitter, probably in like the certain right wing circles. But the other idea, I think that it doesn't get translated well, but I don't think that matters. I think that even in perception, just like the Aeons arise in perception, well, Dharma arises in perception as well. So, of our infinite capacity for loving kindness, or just our infinite capacity for like expansiveness and change, like very Jupiterian in a way. And so you could say that that is part of Dharma as well. Is like when people just know that it exists. Like I'm not saying in dialogue like you and I are doing, and people are listening more passively, but I'm saying even reading it online or being involved in a discussion about it. I'm saying that even the idea of Dharma sort of plants that seed in you. Now, what kind of Dharma are you talking about? Like Vedic Dharma? No, because that has already been done. It's dead. It's cannot be reconstituted. This is even a Buddhist idea. It's not something I made up. Buddhism is a direct refutation, but it's also not, of the Vedas. Tantra is not a direct antinomian transgressive action to the Vedas. It doesn't really give a shit about the Vedas. It builds off Vedic ritual methodologies, but not 100%. It does something else. It does something different, something syncretic. So this is what I always get into arguments about eternalism versus like a more empty kind of like a more hyperspace kingdom approach. Empty versus eternal, okay? Or hyperspace versus eternal. I don't believe that we are fixed in one institution, one system, one religion, one worldview, one magical paradigm. I do think that there is probably a system that is not created yet. I do think the neo-Gnostic approach is probably the best for most people, even for inner and secret people, even for magicians. I think that I've embraced a more neo-Gnostic kind of worldview, at least cosmologically. I think this doesn't go against Buddhism at all. I think it actually complements it really well. And I think that that is probably the best vehicle, but that's just my opinion, right? But I think more important.
Would you say that's like the neo-Gnosticism is the like aeonic workings that you're talking about that's so well integrated into, and the aeonic workings of direct experience of these things, which so everybody does know. And the neo part of it only is that it's like, I don't know.
It's not 100% based on the text
Sethian, Valentinian, or any of these actual.
A lot of those are false epistemes. A. B, the Dead Sea Scrolls may or may not be real. I haven't decided my own opinion on that yet. But the truth is that copies of those texts actually did get discovered in the Mogao caves. So there's a Chinese cache of like it's millions of texts. And a lot of these Gnostic texts were quote unquote rediscovered in this cave. So, and this is not just Gnostic texts, it was like magic texts, tantric texts, Taoist texts, shamanic texts, like all the shit, astrology texts, legal texts, like all this stuff. And for in different languages, so like Songdian and Tocharian and sit of the script, which is the magical Buddhist language, and like all this stuff, like Chinese, Japanese, all of it. So there was a library in China that like preserved all of this. So I think that some of the Gnostic stuff is speculative anyway, is what I'm trying to say. I think a lot of the sort of the rebuilding of the Gnostic text or the Gnostic tradition, I think it's a lot of we was Kangen. I think that's not necessarily bad, but you just have to be honest about it. And I think that is what is the new. Like by saying it's new American Gnosticism rather than like, oh, we're Gnostics. No, we're not Gnostics because we don't have an unbroken lineage to Gnostic thought, and maybe we're actually not even going to take the historical Gnosticism as the direct revelation of the truth, but we're actually going to take our ideas mixed together as a way to the truth, as a vehicle to the truth, but we're not going to be fixed in saying that it's the only one.
No, I completely love that. And that goes along the lines of even what Philip K. Dick was talking about with the Dead Sea. So he has this idea that when the Dead Sea Scrolls opened up, it actually released in his way this kind of hyperplasmate, this pure kind of information that he then ends up calling Valis. But this pure level of information that is the magician that moves backwards through time as we move forwards through time, and it's kind of, he has this different way of seeing time frameness. And so when the Dead Sea Scrolls were opened up, it brought back this hyperplasmate in time, so we could find ourselves. Find that what he called what does he say? It's a third stage non-biological organism. It is composed of pure information rather than physical matter, and effectively operates as a form of non-biological life. He believed that the plasma originated from the cross bonding of two human psyches, because this entity lacked a physical form.
Right, two human psyches, the feminine and the masculine. Exactly. This is why I get mad at you when you say the mother's not Bina. No, it's the poles have switched. So my tantric way of understanding is actually better.
Okay, that when the mother's not Bina? Of course
she doesn't have to be.
Oh, when it's not, I see. She doesn't
have to be.
It's Saturn. Bina's Saturn. Okay, it's fine.
Saturn can be masculine.
And it is masculine. The reason I see it as that way
we would even say it like that in Tantra, that it's Mahakala.
Okay.
Like the greater time king. I'm just saying.
No, that's fine. But to understand that the father and the mother are ultimate figures of the supernova.
The Hokmah could be the widow, as I've posited to you before.
That's
a tantric way to think of it.
You haven't sold me on that yet, but I hear you.
I'm not saying that you have to believe it. I'm saying that every Sephira has both potentialities, both polarities. It's both masculine and feminine. And the resolution to their supposed duality, this is why I don't like the Golden Dawn stuff, exactly because of that. The Bina is the devouring mother. Kali is not first cause. She's just the prime mover.
But those are different. Those are different. I don't consider the devouring mother as the Bina. And if any Golden Dawn member has told you that, I think that's trash, and they don't understand this dichotomous nature of Bina.
You would say it's the mother, and like a lot of people would say it's.
But that's different than the devouring mother figure. This is the epitomous nature of three.
Well, right? Lolita Tripura Sundari, the red goddess who arises at Hod, she's also numbered 3. That's what I'm trying to say, Brandon. There can be renumberings of the tree. It doesn't mean that the renumberings of the Sephira. It refers to the way the lightning strikes through the spheres.
Love that. I love that.
It's a renumbering of the way that the light illuminates and fulfills Maya.
And just so everybody knows, everyone who's watching, thank you for being here with us on this fine evening. This is Magus in the Media. Next to me right here is my good brother in arms, the great Jin Wukong, reborn of Threshold Saints in the Grey Lodge. We've been booming over the last 2.5 hours here, Jin. We got 84 watching right now. And I just like to thank everybody. If they haven't already, make sure you want more of these conversations. Just hang out with us, comment, and say something in the comments. If you don't have comments to say anything because you're watching on X, you're more than welcome to be like, man, we want these two to talk about more things. Just let us know. We are
going to, because I'm mad now. No, I'm annoyed. It affected my tism. Okay, the truth is, Brandon, that the Sephira are more feminine. They're negative space, as I said. They're not fixed in matter. They're not fixed in time. They're not.
Yeah, but then that goes
Several
to
are
the
not
problem
fixed in time.
of the Aristotelian syllogism where you're
Right.
locking
So
it.
they
We
are
can't
not.
lock it. There are ways to view that
Well,
work
they are
better than
locked,
others.
though. They are locked, though. That's why the preoccupation of the key and
And
preoccupation of
but that
the
only
tequila,
makes sense. And I
preoccupation of the
agree.
tools.
I agree that the spheres then look at them. They're feminine. They're spheres.
Correct.
The paths
They're
are
like a
lines.
womb.
They're like
That
a
is
womb.
why it's a
And
zimzum.
which I totally agree.
All the Sephira can be said to be feminine, but I also think that they can also said to be masculine. This
Of
is how a
course.
tantric would think of it.
Yeah.
The certain forms of Lord Time would arise in all the Sephira. Okay. Certain forms of the Dakinis would arise as the Sephira. This makes a lot of sense to me. This was more my experience. So that's why I say, like in Buddhism, we say the consort resolves all paradox. That's why they always appear together in Yab Yum. That is the primordial consciousness, that turquoise layer, the Pardes interiority, the interior of the interior, the secret of the secret.
Yeah.
Is diamond thunder. It's not singular like that. It's not singular as in like it's my okay, I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's the true resolution to well, it does matter, but it doesn't matter. The truth is like people will take that as a dyad. I'm positing this dyadic model or I'm positing this polytheistic model. I'm like, no, vomit. I would never do that. I don't, it's not about the dyad. It's about that the consort is also the breath. The consort is also the Shakti, the divine feminine, the but Pardes isn't that either. Maybe you can say Pardes is God. That's more of a, Heb way to think of it. Pardes is also God. What is God? God is clarityless. God is pristine, or not clarityless. He's full of clarity. That's all he is. He's
super omniscient.
light.
Yeah.
He is not omniscient. It is without quality. But if you want to say that God has any quality, he has Hesed. That is his primary quality. Hesed can expand 13 times.
Yeah, without limits, right?
Exactly. So you can say that the whole tree is about finding the Hesed of every Sephira. That is one way to think of it. Gershom Shlomo posited that this is also true. I don't take that approach necessarily, but I do think that Hesed is the axial Jupiter. Hesed is the axial pivot. It's like a recurve bow. It is where the arrow is notched is at Hesed. So which way do we fire the arrow? Well, we can fire the arrow any way we fucking want.
Yeah,
but we have to be in keeping with that orientation.
Yes, because if you don't, you go schizo mad in not the good way. Yeah, because you become lost, and because if we don't understand the symbolism the symbols are like breadcrumbs trying to lead us down the rabbit hole of our life. It's not that we're falling asleep and dreaming and then all this is happening in some dreamland. My problem with like solipsism and these types of the dreamer dreaming the big dream, which is more Hindu Vedic nonsense. It's still,
I really don't like that Vedic stuff. I'm gonna just be honest. It's not my fave. I don't believe in like eternal gods. Gods in Buddhism die. The gods in Buddhism can be killed.
Yeah.
Gods in Buddhism are only,
as we see in Homer as well. Gods can be
They're only one tier of reality, the middle tier, and not the middle tier in the fun way. No. Middle tier is in like they actually represent demiurges in and of themselves of the lower realities.
Yeah.
But they only take power when people believe in them. That's the truth.
Yeah.
People don't have to agree with that, but that
very American gods, very Neil Gaiman American gods.
Well, I have a problem with that in the series, at least the series, not necessarily the comic book.
The book is amazing.
The book is amazing. I agree, but the series had a lot of problems, and I think that it almost overhumanized the deities, and like not all deities also exist at the same level. This is one of the things that differentiates like low IQ syncretism with high IQ syncretism. It's understanding where the deities fall upon the tree.
Yeah, very important. And you also know that you do need to sometimes bind fucking demons in a goddamn circle, in a triangle, which you shouldn't be doing anyway. So it's stupid nonetheless.
I agree, but SMS 717 said, "Is God the Aether?"
Yeah.
I would say no. I would say God is in perception.
Yeah, God is also within Aether, but it is not the Aether. Is God? This is the problem of the syllogism again.
Correct. God is not just space.
No,
he's not just time. He's actually not any of those things, as
No.
I would posit. He's
No.
quality less, but he can be contained in the one quality that is perception, which is Hesed, which is loving kindness.
And that's why the metaphor of the mythological understanding of the falling asleep into matter and trying to reawaken, which is what the myth of Persephone is trying to tell us, which is the ideas of a lot of these things. And if you go to the modern video game like Zelda, Link is waking up to find Zelda and save her from the big boss man, right? And then there's Ganondorf. Same thing with Kingdom Hearts. You fell asleep, and now it's that you have to reawaken to putting all the pieces together of the things that you had once forgotten in Chain of Memories. And so it's this continual thing of understanding of what is being played at God not being, but God maybe locking itself within the story, but not being any one thing.
God doesn't lock himself in the story.
No.
God okay, so I'll use a tantric explanation.
Okay.
God has abandoned the world. Shiva went to the death. That's where he is. He's at the carnal ground where nothing is alive and nothing is dead. It's just the mind. It's the mindscape. And for Shiva, that is the carnal ground. So it's the carnal ground of ultimate reality. He does not want to be in the flesh. Okay? So what is left? Well, you have the hero, the Vira, which can be us, but it can also be a deity. Now, if a deity takes the form of Vira, it is immediately locked into mortality, and it is not pristine in consciousness. It's like people are really interested in like the Kalki and like Vishnu, and Vishnu lives and dies. That's why Vishnu gets incarnations as the Avatara. He lives and dies as a mortal life. So, like, do we believe in mortal gods? I think that's a question that for people to ask themselves. I don't believe in mortal gods.
Yeah, I don't think you should. And then who made God? Nobody, because nothing is created nor destroyed. God is the same way. Nothing
It just is in our perception. You could say that man did. That's not an incorrect way to. No, it's not an incorrect way, and that's.
But that's what magicians of old would say. Elvis Levy talks about all the time as how. Correct. But the idea is it's a metaphor.
Correct.
Yeah.
So the whole idea is that God exists in our perception. We are the witnesses to the multiverse, to the universe, to reality itself.
The God man.
Right. But we are not ourselves God. That's where the people are, when people say online, it's like, man invented God. No.
Invented means that it came from nothing, that we just invented this thing. No, it's discovery of the forms.
Correct. And you can also say that God refers to the mind. This is a very tantric way to think, or even
and Hermetic. It's the Hermetic vision of the noose.
But it doesn't mean that what we think the mind is God. That's also again really important. So it's like all these little differentiations, all these little distinctions, do we pray to God? Like, I personally don't pray to God because I don't pray to my own mind, and I don't pray to my misperceptions or my perceptions of it.
No, you don't. We don't, and that goes back to every talk we've almost had when it's like we don't pray to idols. It's not. I like the term God beyond God because it's like that.
Aim for ontology. You can have cosmological implication, meaning that Buddhism allows for a wide veneration of different deities and spirits if you want.
Of course.
For me, I prefer
Catholicism with saints and stuff.
I mean, of course. So there you go. So you're like what they're doing. I'm not saying for anyone to follow me or to do what I do or to think.
But you should subscribe, like, and share.
Well, it's great if you do to Threshold to Threshold Saints. Please do that. Of course, support the Grey Lodge. The most important. That is why I'm on YouTube. I did not join YouTube for Threshold Saints. Let me be clear about that. I joined YouTube for the Grey Lodge, and it made sense to have a landing platform for the show on the same channel so that both would be entwined together, which was the whole point of both. But it's not for Threshold Saints. I could just easily live on Substack and be very happy because that's where most of my numbers come from.
Yeah, nice.
So, that is what it is. Okay. So secondly, I think people don't have to pray to, I don't like the way, this is one thing where I side with the pagan bros. I know this is like such a shocker.
Nice. Okay, if you're a heathen heretic out there, you should listen. Jin's being nice to you right now.
Well, I'm not really, but because they're low IQ. But but the reality is they it's okay to have a idol. What is an idol? Okay, in tantra we would fill the idols in a ritually prepared manner and put certain ritual substances in them and then seal that. That doesn't necessarily mean anything, and that's you could also say it's a sort of like a metaphor for emptiness, and it is that too. But it's also a metaphor for like how we awaken the samadhi fire in the quote unquote deities.
Hmm.
The deity's own samadhi fire arises in its own perception. So it's really interesting because statues are said to awaken or open their eyes. It's the exact way it's described in Mandarin. Open their eyes. That's what a Taoist priest does. He opens the eyes of the statue. So what does that mean? That means that we're in a dialogical or dialectical relationship with those supernatural entities. And that means that we both then take on their qualities. They take on our qualities as well. This is really important, and this is where I disagree with them. But I do think that having iconography is really important. I don't think you should completely discard it. I don't see a use of it. I don't think that you need to go full on trad in anything. If you want to, that's fine. But I think that you should be moderate. And if you want to do chaos magic and you want to have like Chuchuthalu deities and Yog and like all the slug, the snake, the goat, and the dog-headed one, you totally could. You can have that if that's what you want on your altar with the Ninja Turtles. Even that would be a great combo. If that's what you want to do, then that's what you should do. But I do think that there is a use in having those sort of like stable icons. I'm more of the school that you use the semiotics that are more traditional, meaning that you understand in a deep way the sort of associations, the Kabbalah of the artwork. So that's why you're drawing from it, because it's partly primordial and then partly you are interacting with it. So it helps you understand. There, subscribe, like and subscribe. Like and subscribe to MagusintheMedia right now.
Thanks. I just started using that button yesterday.
Oh, cool. Anyways, I won't be. I was okay. So statues. I think iconography is cool. I think it's great. I think people should utilize it.
I love the idea, like in Harry Potter, to protect the kingdom, to protect the castle, they enliven the statues to be able to. I like these.
That's very Buddhist, right?
It's very Buddhist.
That's very Thai Buddhist.
The guardians of the threshold.
That's right. The Yaksha kings come alive. That's even what they say in Thailand. We're doing the Lurcy series on the Grey Lodge every 2 weeks. We're doing the Southeast Asia, sinister traditions of Southeast Asia. Anyways, this is one of the time spells. Guardians come alive.
I did a whole, so everyone knows in my early YouTube career of last year, I did a whole video on Harry Potter, real magic in Harry Potter, and it's the per totem locomotor, or what you would call in your PGMs or your different things, psychosis, which is the enlivening of statue ritual. And then gargoyles, another way of doing that. Gargoyles is a brilliant show.
Well, even expecto patronum, right?
Expecto patronum, yeah.
That is, they're summoning a totem. Yep. So it's okay to use symbols that both other people and yourself recognize. Yep. It's more powerful if more people believe in them. That is just the truth of chaos magic. Oh, yeah. The more people that subscribe to the paradigm, the more powerful the egregore. But this also comes with a constraint, is that the more people are invested in that egregore or that thought form or that deity or whatever that is, they also contain it through their perceptions, what their expectations of it should be.
Yeah. Yeah, which you can't have expectations, as Crowley states, that we cannot have lust for results in any of our magical action. Otherwise,
that's I don't agree with that.
I do.
You don't think that we should go set out to have magical results?
That's different. I think it's a misreading of what Crowley was stating about what lust for results means. You should treat it like science and understand that you are doing something with your will and trying to accomplish some working. But if
But
you
what if the
are,
working is what if the working is like more of a Buddhist approach, like what Kaiva and I do, where the magic is actually happening in your own mind?
I completely agree with that then, and I think that's
But
totally
Crowley
fine.
was not like that. He was like, we're gonna put this work, we're gonna do this thing, we're gonna have sex, we're gonna
Not true.
channel.
He was no. There's many variations of Crowley,
Right,
and
many variations of it because he's a composite figure.
yes, and
He's
so
not a singular figure,
no.
and it probably his whole biography is probably composite parts of different people's life.
I completely agree. And the way they saw his workings, and that's why you have to take in as much as possible to see that he had many different stages of his workings. Like we get even with going back into Plato's work, you get the many different stages of Platonic dialogues as you see this person's understanding unfold or the how they're
Well,
trying
he
to.
puts all blinds in his work, right? Like there are tons of lines in his work,
Yeah,
and that's every Kabbalist does this. Everybody does this. Every sorcerer does this. I don't do this because why? I
yeah,
don't teach people how to do magic. I'm not selling a course.
no.
So I don't really give a fuck. I'll just tell people how I get there. People can go get there how they want to get there.
Yeah, and so with Crowley's thing, just to restate this, is I think that's my problem with magical trends and different paradigms that have been going through over the course of not even the last 100 years, but if not longer. But for me, it's like the last 50 years or since the early 1900s, and especially in the last fucking 50 years with the LARPing magic, lusting for results, wanting to gain some kind of level of practicality with your magic of different things. I think that's and then that's when people change things. Like I had a vision to my vision was me imagining a tiger, and now I have a spirit animal. That's what I mean, is like you are putting on something that actually it isn't, and then you have cognitive dissonance towards reality. That's how you have a schizophrenic break, because you're starting to give your magical
Right.
process some kind of thing that it isn't.
Well, you can look in Tantra. We allow the guardians. You could say the Bhairavas, the ferocious kings. That's all that means. Bhairava, ferocious kings of time. You can embody. They can be embodied, and they can be like they can take form in your mind. They can be visualized in specific ways that corresponds to their mantra, like the words that you're the upasaka, the practitioner, is saying. This very dialogical, right? You're arising because of your words, but there's also part of it that is them, quote unquote, themselves.
Yeah.
And there's also part of it that is in your own perception. So, yeah, I think it's great if people want to um, develop a more traditional relationship with like a deity like that in a way, but you have to recognize like it also is arising partly from you.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's not just like, "Oh, like, I'm gonna go be, Dionysian or whatever," or, uh, "I'm not gonna go worship, like, those things." I'm literally just trying to, like I might have a deva I worship, I might have a yakshini I worship, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. I recognize, like, the practices as being part of the higher working.
Yeah, that's the important part, which is what I
I'm
think
not
gets left
trying
out.
to go for necessarily material results. Sometimes I will.
Mhm.
Sometimes I will.
But I think the idea is that once you're going for the great working, the small little things that you normally would have to do in the past, like the low magic, you don't have to do anymore.
Well, you don't need it as much. And this is where you and I definitely converge,
Yeah.
is that you actually don't need a lot of the bullshit stuff.
Yeah.
You don't.
Yeah. That's the trendy shit that I can't handle.
But you also have to have like a familiarity enough with one system where you're able to like give it inner application.
Yes. 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 Yes.
If
Yes.
you're too much of a dilettante in like 50 other systems and 50 different systems, but never knowing one singular,
Yeah.
well, and not I'm not saying knowing as in like an intellectual, like banal experience, but also like maybe in a higher non-dual experience, it's going to be really hard to make that system work.
For sure.
And that's also its opposing polarity in unverified personal gnosis.
That is exactly.
Unverified personal gnosis is the creation of new systems. So you kind of you offered this as a proposition before.
Yeah.
This is the problem with it, is that people have tried, people have been trying, People will always try, but the problem is that people come to that material. They come to the material of writing the hermeneutic, the story of the Aeon, or the story of religion. They come to it with, like, daddy, like you said, daddy issues, mommy issues. They come to it with all sorts of fixations, of all sorts of cravings,
Yep.
all sorts of bullshit. Right? They come to it thinking it should be for magicians. They come to it thinking it should be for normies. They come to it thinking it should be somewhere in between. The truth is like there are different narrative containers for all of those things. They can be multi-layered, obviously. As we said, like the word is magic. Like sutras are magic. Like Buddhist sutras are magic.
Oh, so much. Yeah.
Right? So that's the whole thing, is that sutras are considered to be normie.
Yeah, interesting. That's true.
But you're right. So, but they also contain tantra. That's how tantras are derived. They come from sutras.
I see.
So the whole thing, and that's the same with the Bible. That's the same with all of it.
Yeah,
that's
go back to even the book of Daniel. That's a magical book. Daniel was a
Correct.
magician. Anybody?
That's what it's saying.
That's what it's saying.
It's not even. That's not even in dispute. That shouldn't even be. We shouldn't even have to say it.
Yeah.
The whole Bible is filled with people who were either kings or magicians or sorcerers or whatever they were, and that is the reality.
Sumerian, Babylonian magic. That's what the Bible is.
Right. And so in magic, nothing is literal.
Yeah.
It's all
symbolic,
metaphysical. Right. It's not just symbolic, though. It doesn't just exist at the inner level.
No, it's symbolic.
At the secret level where you can probably shoot lightning in through your hands, like the Sith.
Completely. And that's my differentiation between symbolic.
I know
symbolic
I know you do. Yeah. I know. Because you do believe in the anime man.
Yeah, of course I do.
The anime Cadmon.
Damn right I do. I push it to everyone I can. They don't know. They don't know that.
I already know. Well, anyways, I won't go on at any point. This was a really fun 3 hours.
This has been fantastic,
so much, Brandon. And we kind of meandered, but like it was a little while, but not too crazy.
No, I think it's the underlying necessity of understanding these two different. There's the eternal paradigm that you and I are talking about, that we're trying to guide gently individuals into understanding that all the chutes and ladders that is this paradigmatic trendiness of the occult esoteric community, the long/bathhouse, is only smoke and mirrors and chasing hands, instead of getting to the center of the primal forces of whatever it is that is unmoving in this type of thing. That I think it's just really important that this is what we've been talking about, is like to get to the great work itself is an embodied experience of us living our lives on a day-to-day basis and trying to better ourselves, whatever that means. But it is not a postmodern betterment. It is a harmony.
I'm gonna postmodern pause you one day. One day. Yeah. Anyways, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It's all fun and games.
Coherence. We live in this great smoky palace.
We do.
We live in the wreckage of the Koopas. So what do we make of the aggregates, of the burning ashes, of the sort of the ruins of apocalypse?
We do.
Can be redeemed in the revelation of the new world.
It is. And if you're not going to bring upon your own apocalypse, the world will do it for you. So I say, make sure you.
Well, we've all gone through an apocalypse. If you survived through COVID, we all went through the world of apocalypse. That's kind of my thinking. So.
As they say, invoke yourself in prayer and die daily, I think is a really important.
We are in the Aeon of flux. We live in flux, and a lot of us spend a lot of time on social media, maybe too much, and.
Kind of have to when you're trying to build things.
I mean, that's where to build right now, right?
It is. That's why we have
the path working is like most amenable to doing it.
It is in the psionic realms. Yeah, the psionic realms. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Jin the Ninja of Threshold Saints in the Grey Lodge. Tell them where they can find you in this fine evening.
You can go to @Threshold Saints on X or IG, and all my links are there. You can follow me at Wukong Reborn, WKOG Reborn. You can follow the show, The Grey Lodge. You can follow the group show, The Meta Magical Circle, at The Grey Lodge at youtube.com/@Threshold Saints, where you will also find all my Threshold Saints episodes. Yes, I'm audio only. I'm at Occult Audio Easing. People can like fuck off with that. It's my show is for the Aether Wave. I'm not trying to compete with Brandon or Eros or any content creator. I'm just doing my own thing. I'm taking a nod from the alt lit community on Twitter, and I'm just focused on my audio easing, as I said. So that's where I am. And the Grey Lodge, we have Apophenion book Friday night book club this Friday night. I think it's 6:30 EST, and so I'll be live, and then the recording will be made available literally the next day. It's not monetized, nothing. It's just a meta magic working group. And then the part 2, so that's part 2 of Apophenion, and then we'll do a part 3 and finish that book. And then we will do the next week we'll do Burmese magic, Burmese sorcery. So sinister traditions in Southeast Asia. Part 2 will be called Witsa. I'm not going to spell it because then someone's going to steal I know someone's going to steal my title. Anyways, it doesn't matter. I'm naming it that, or I'll name it something else. I'll do it at my will. So it will be fucking cool, and we're going to discuss, Thai and Burmese and Buddhist magic. Really, Buddhist magic is what we're talking about. Thank you very much. Thank you to everybody in the chat. Vanessa, Mystic Mama, Mind, Thine Mind, SMS. Still not sure about you, but we're going with it. Cassandra and everyone who came, really appreciate you. Thank you so much. You can just check me out and check out the Grey Lodge. A lot's coming up. Follow Brandon.
Please.
I'm doing a live tomorrow on Rejects with Dr. Ian Edwards, who's a left empath psychologist.
Oh, that is tomorrow.
That'll be really interesting, and we've got some really big Reject episodes coming up. So just follow that space if you want, and you can check out all my co-hosts. All their links are on YouTube. We all follow each other. We all get along pretty well. I would say that we all get along really great.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
I agree.
So, there's no one holding us back, holding us down, or like playing deviant games.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful, Jin. I love conversations with you. It's we travel through that ether psionic spheres of the hyperpatial mind palace. What'd you call it?
Hyperspace kingdom.
Thank you.
It's the one and the one, the Aleph and the Aleph, the Keter and the Malkuth. Just think of it like that. Hyperspace meaning Keter, kingdom meaning Malkuth. You know this.
Beautiful. I love hearing it from you, though. That's so great. We are all within this strange day and age where it's easy to attach on to a bunch of trendy nonsense while our life goes awry. And instead of looking deep within and trying to understand these strange occurrences that continue to always happen. And there are certain ways that you can tap into the fine, detailed motor structures of the nervous system and not get caught up in the Aristotelian ways of seeing reality as one thing. That is an easy way to get mind fucked. Mind fucked in the way where you're not understanding the flexibility of this strange reality that we seem to find ourselves in. And so to do those types of things, you need to also friends out there. And that's what we're here for. We may not be your friend-to-friend basis, but this is a community that we're trying to formulate as we move through these strange times. You can do you and you can do you well, but as long as you understand that we are all free to do as we please in a way that is harmonious and in balance with the rest of the things. And every once in a while, yes, I agree, Jin's got me in it, and I've always wanted to know that I'm a gray Jedi, and I like to think that I probably most likely am, so that is true.
You are a gray Jedi. We're all gray Jedis.
We're all gray
We're no longer
Jedi.
Manichaeans, right? We're no longer bound
by the dualistic system.
Right. Yeah. We are liberated in our consciousness. We are the Promethean and the Promethea. We are those two things. We are the
I love that, and that's I
completely agree. Together, so.
No, I completely agree. We are both Promethea and Prometheus, and it's a really fascinating thing that when you start to hear these things, I need you all to make sure that when you're listening to other things, it's not that we are correct, it's that just Jin and I have been doing certain things in certain ways. Jin is always correct, even though
Jin's not always correct, but Jin's usually right.
But that the frame is that there's a lot of nonsense, so we have to tune our nonsense hearing faculties to be able to witness the sophist, charlatans, and snake oil. That is why we are here, and that is why you can always hear the battle cry, because Jin and I are here to throw down it in that way that if you don't know Gung Fu, I can tell you mine most likely is better than yours, not Jin's. Jin's a great Wing Chun Gung Fu master himself. But the ideal realm is that when we can throw hands and spar, we can do it both as friends and as frenemies. And in the end, we're going to be able to sharpen our swords together. And that's why we're here. What am I doing? What's going on with Magus in the media? Well, I'm going to interview Alan Chapman tomorrow. He's got his own thing. Magia is a book that he wrote. He's got advanced magic. He's a fellow like rebel offshoot of a lot of things that's not accepted in a lot of ways. So I'm really excited to chat with him. I'm going to be dropping Angel Miller's podcast here in the next few days. I have Lon Milo Duquette that I've already spoken to. That podcast is going to drop. I got him to call out the Thelemites in my own way.
Shit, you got Lon Milo on your show?
I did.
Good for you.
1 hour. Me and Lon talked for 1 hour, and I was like, let's go. And he's
I want to say one thing.
Please.
I'm not trying to hurt Brandon's show in any way, but Angel is wrong. Angel is wrong. It really bothered me when I roundtabled with him.
Good.
That's why I don't like when you say like Binah is the mother. That's not the only place that she can arise.
Yeah.
It's just like Malkuth. Malkuth is the bride. I agree. But the bride it's just a metaphor.
It's a metaphor.
A man can be a bride in the Kabbalistic idea.
Because I'm the bride of waking up from my sleep.
That's right.
Yeah,
we are brides. We walk through the threshold. We don't know what the words of the things are. We don't know the names of the worlds.
Yeah. Well,
I go to Yesod and we figure it out.
Yeah, I like that.
Experiential knowledge, right?
No, I agree. And the thing, I think, just know that Angel Miller
is really mad. He got very upset when we were on Rejects together.
Did he?
Yeah.
I don't remember that, but I don't think he really liked his time on there. And so
I'm sure he did.
Yeah. And so
I posited a different kind of worldview. He wasn't amenable to it. That's fine.
Yeah, nice.
A lot of people aren't.
Yeah.
I think the tree is non-dual. I approach it the right way.
See, you're so funny. That's great. Nice. It's great. I just want everyone to know, I think through my conversation afterwards with him as well, because I chatted with him afterwards, that he is in agreement with you and I on a lot of what we've been talking about.
Sure. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that I do not view the Aeonic framework as he views it. He views it much more of the mother, much more of the longhouse, and I do not accept that idea.
I think what would be great.
I'm not going to be domed by.
He told me no, as you should be. I think it'd be great. You know what I'm going to do is he told me he would come on and we'd he would live stream with me whenever. And so I think the three of us could put on a fucking fantastic show together.
You should ask him. I don't know if he'd be amenable to it, but we'll see.
I think he would. Oh, I really after my conversation with him, I really think he would. Well, sometimes I think when
he told me I didn't understand the tree.
I don't think he said that.
He said that verbatim.
Did he? Okay, good. And if he did, that's great.
Misunderstanding, but it's not my misunderstanding. I don't put it as fixed.
Nice.
I'm just saying.
No, I love all this.
I'm giving Brandon a hard time because you got Lon Milo.
I did get Lon Milo.
That's really fucking cool. See, I didn't criticize Lon Milo.
No, you didn't. And you know what? And we can, due to his heading of the OTO. But
he didn't call me ignorant on a live, so I'm cool with him. I'll kiss the ring if I have.
I love that. I know. That's so funny. No, Lon Milo was great. He's long-winded, so the hour I wasn't able to get as much out of him as I wanted because of how he speaks in these, he's an old man, and so, but brilliant. And so I got him to agree on two things that I was really happy to talk about in that talk. And so I was really grateful. Lon Milo, I've read all his books. I gave him his due as being one of the most brilliant minds in our current, modern or in the contemporary world of occultism. And people who haven't read his work definitely should go out and pick up all his work.
Talima gets a lot of the Gnostic stuff right. No one is surprised if you follow me or my show or Grey Lodge.
Yeah.
Nobody's surprised to hear me say that. I don't belong to the OTO. I don't want to. I don't belong to the Typhonian Order. I don't want to.
No.
I just am saying that I think that they get a lot in the Gnostic story, their presentation of it. They get a lot right. That doesn't mean it's 100% right, but I think that it is closer to the truth than most of the other magical societies have gone.
For sure, because it's stemming from Crowley, and Crowley knew what he was doing, and so
Correct.
that's and that's why I'm so happy to talk to Alan Chapman tomorrow, because Alan Chapman is with his friend something Duncan something. They are reworking. They have all the old scripts that they can't publish because the OTO has them in lock and key of Magic Without Tears and other of Crowley's works that they can't publish for 10 years plus, but they're still working on it. Because of the fucking OTO is holding it ransom, because no one's smart enough in the OTO to be able to fucking do what they're doing. So there's things, and so there was a talk.
If people, no, this is where I differ from you on like this positing. I think if people are fucking that good at K-ball, come do it like me. Come do it on the internet. Come do it live. Come do it with us. Come on MagusintheMedia. Come do it. Come tell me I don't know the tree. Let's see. Let's see who doesn't know the fucking tree. Let's see who can stand up live.
I love that Promethean fire.
You know that people have challenged me live. People
who
consider themselves better at the tree than me.
Yeah.
And they fucking chickened out, didn't they?
Yes, they have. Yeah, it's crazy. How many times can you tell us that you want to do stuff with us and then not even ask you about it? Yeah, we got strange times, everybody, and that goes back to the title of the show.
They knew that we had their number. They knew that they couldn't. The truth is like Todd was on my last episode.
Yeah.
That I dropped on Birth of Saints. Anyways, he was like, "You are scary when it comes to Kabbalah," and you go on lives, and I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Yeah, I should be. I should represent my brand. Like if I have a brand,
that's what we're doing.
My brand is non-dual Kabbalah. Like let's fucking go. Like you want to be discursive with me, you better bring it. That's why I can be a little hard on you, Brandon, but I'm not really truly hard on you, but I do give you shit.
Yeah, of course you have to. Right. I think it's fun, and I can take it, and I think I'm right.
I mean, you're good. What you're good. What is one of your best qualities is you're able to take it and be like, this is my own idea.
Yeah.
And we can just like walk away, and it's like, it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't.
We discussed it. Maybe you'll come around. Maybe you won't. Nobody's feelings were hurt.
No, of course not. Of course not, because I'm a fucking man, and I'm a philosopher king warrior, and I'm
that kid.
I know. I can't even do it every time. He had Giorgiani on. How much do you hate him?
No, he's had Giorgiani on tons.
Yeah, it's crazy. If he can have Giorgiani on,
I don't want Jason on. It's not that I don't like Jason. I would have Jason on.
Who? Giorgiani?
Yeah, I would not have. I'm not really the platform for him. He wants to be on a live on YouTube. We could go live. I have Nick's StreamYard. I can go live anytime, right? We have the YouTube channel. If Jason wanted to come, I would want him to come. I know Solar would love Jason to come on.
I'm probably gonna reach out to him.
Well, then you have to have us both on. No, you do.
Like that.
You have to.
Next time.
No, you have to have me. You have to, because I'm the one who paused you on that.
No, you're not. I've known Giorgiani for years, and I
know, but you didn't like him for a while, and I was like, no, he's interesting, Brandon. Anyways, we'll talk about this later.
Okay.
The point is like, yeah, he could come on Grey Lodge or come on Threshold Saints for sure. I don't want to I don't want to put something in the aether that I don't mean. I just meant that he's better on those shows where he can like kind of go with the person, the person is also like more enamored with him. Like that kid doesn't have a brain cell.
Oh no, it was awful. I listened to I clicked on it and I was like, "What's this?"
He's not that smart. He talks about like gooning, acceleration.
Idiot. He's a fucking idiot.
The problem with it is that, but he has a lot of viewers, whatever, and so
we're gonna have that many viewers soon.
I agree, but the problem is just that it's just very low IQ, and it's terminally online, but not in a cool way.
Yeah, Normgroid, right?
It's kind of niche Normgroid.
Niche,
it's kind of like
how do you think you are taking Warrior Philosopher as your handle?
Well, I don't care about that. What I cared was he stole my word, which is Hapaboria.
That was the issue.
Which didn't refer to him and his cast.
Right. That's hilarious.
It referred to East Asians, really, but it could also refer to Filipinos and Vietnamese and like anyone whose parents were like It was for people who were transnationally Hapa, people who grew up in Asia and in North America, for people who were both, but also biracial. That's what it really was talking about. And so for him to like utilize that word, like use that word, it wasn't his story.
Yeah, no,
And
it's
I did
fake.
it all on. I did a
It's fake.
whole like we did like a whole a year ago. We did or 2 years ago. We did a whole series on the whole idea of what Hyperborea is and was.
Nice.
So the idea that some like little rando 5'2" trans mask half Pinoy could like try and roll up on me and steal my own word, like no, Naga, you cannot.
Yeah,
This is
no.
not. It's already been done in the aether. You can do whatever you think, but it's already. I've already sprayed my graffiti all over that shit. So.
Damn right, and that's another proof that we're never too enlightened to still have primate psychology, which is really important in all of this.
I will beat your ass.
That Jin will fucking throw down with his
speculatively,
and then no, I fucking
with the Transformers.
Yeah, and my fucking Ninja Turtles surrounding me.
I'm gonna send them towards everyone. Shin Megami Tensei. Yeah, Persona 4. I'm going to summon all the Goetic spirits from video games.
Fucking Digimon.
And send them against all my enemies. Digimon,
yeah.
Pokemon, all the fucking things.
That's good. That's great. Well, beautiful. That's beautiful. This is how you end a beautiful show with the Sky Daddies have come again to battle cry all over your face. Thank you, everybody, for being with us in this fine evening. Again, subscribe, like, and share to both of us. It's been so we're digging deep into these things that many people think is abstract, but they can be used in this embodied life, and that's what I keep on trying to get at. It's no point if we can't truly understand the phenomenal world, and if we're continually just within the mind realm, which is integrated into it. So it is magic happens in the mind. It's a mnemonic state to trigger these type of things, but it's also integrated with our phenomenal experience. And so I think it's beautiful that if we all can tap into whatever vehicle it is that we're working our way up towards the great work, up, down, all around. Technically, we're in the underworld right now, and we're trying.
The daughter is the princess of breaking klipas. We are broken out. We don't know the things that are in the world yet.
It's true, we don't. I like that. It's the unknown.
We're the brides.
We're the brides. That's beautiful.
The brides of Aeon. That's what it is.
And so a shout out to the Occult Rejects. Nick, the Cardinal Head, is again doing
Pray to the lightning strike.
As well. Wait, exactly. The Ain Sof as it moves through all of the great things.
Ain Sof or.
And as well as got a lot of videos where I'm trying to go live as many times as I can a week with my schedule. So we're doing the show as much as possible, both doing these beautiful deep dives into magic and mysticism.
One of these in a long time,
and we haven't, which we're going to do more.
Well, we'll be at least a monthly show.
And it is going to be every month. And so that's beautiful. Shout out to everyone that was with us. Shout out to my homie that just gave us fire signals. Thanks, Casey. You are the man, and I miss you dearly. Sky Daddy Radio Productions.
I'm sure all your friends that watch this think we're literally insane.
Yeah, broadcasting from the one and only Hyperborean Space Kingdom. No, any of my friends who watch this are already insane, and they are already mad as Mad Hatters. Even though my mom sometimes watches, and she's all like, "I'm so happy what you're doing. I don't understand any of it, but it seems like you're having fun." No, like, it's cool, Mom. Thanks. She's like, "But I know you want me to watch it, so I do, and it's great." I was shout out to the great mother of MagusintheMedia. She's the one who got me into all these things. She is the reason for my imagination. She is the one who gave me the fantasy books in my youth, and so I do please, as we all do. Shout out to the great mothers of all the world. Right, beautiful thing.
Yeah, pay homage to Sophia. Respect your parents.
That's what I'm saying.
For being flawed human beings, and they're both bad and good, and so we should try and remember, loving kindness is the kind of Aeonic ideal. So
it is.
If you want to embody something, try and embody that.
Yeah, beautiful.
Doesn't mean that you have to be stepped on at all.
No, at all.
Cold fire. Remember, cold fire is one of the powers of Hesed. It's a very powerful sort of protective magic, and also just like it's just a very powerful force. So
No, it's very dragon, very
correct,
dragon. Yeah,
correct.
I love
Because
that.
the dragon sees himself for the first time in the waters, right? In his reflection.
It's good.
So
Oh, and I'm also having on. Have you ever read The Secret History of the World by Mark Booth or Jonathan Black?
are you having them on?
I am. At the end of the month, he's coming on because he's got The Secret History of the Universe coming out. And
I mean,
so,
you've been getting really good guests.
yeah,
There's no question about it.
I'm trying to crush out here. I'm trying to
I know.
crush and continue. I'm going to
You
be
do crush.
Yeah, we crush and we crush hard. Thank you, Jin. We're gonna
You still have to have me on if you have JRJ on.
I will. Okay, I will. Okay.
Or Solar. You could just have Solar. It doesn't have to be me.
I'll have on. I mean, that would mean I would need Solar on my show first. So maybe I should do that, and then because
if he wants to,
yeah, if he so chooses, it's just whatever. It's one of those things.
I want him to go on for JRJ. He's been on my show lots, so he can come on yours, no problem.
Yeah, nice. And then what I'm saying is I would most likely want, I'm kind of selfish. I would want a one-on-one with Georgiani before you add a third person.
No, what you do is you do 2 hours with him, and then you do one by yourself and one with
smart. That's a smart idea. Okay, nice. Eros is like, bro, I'm fed up with you guys. It's time for bed.
Yeah, we're piecing out. 22. Okay, we're closed.
This is beautiful. And thank you all again. Subscribe, like, and share to both of us. We're coming at you multiple times a week. Jin's doing his thing. I'm doing mine. Make sure you shout out to the Occult Rejects. If you need one of the greatest, the lady that has my heart, 11 Kaiva Rose 33. She's brilliant in all ways. Jin's going to be coming out there with their episode soon. I'm going to interview her so we can all understand her from that way as well. Astrology and Rue Odyssey. Yeah. So we're doing it, and we're doing it live at all times, and the world gets stranger, and we are going to continue to break into magic even more, because myth, magic, and meaning is what gives us the world that we like. And I agree, Full Metal Alchemist is peak. That's beautiful.
Right. Be the Quicksilver Surfer. Ride the fucking Aether Wave. Try and exercise Hesed. Try and exercise Gevra. Try and tame the lightning in your own mind, number one, but then also trying to shoot it from your fucking fingers.
Beautiful and beautiful all the time. Until next time. And again.